of that area. In the Cottleville, our chief meteorologist lives over there, Scott Connell. So, this is an area where a lot of new real estate has popped up here within the last couple of decades. And so if you're watching from St. Charles County, you need to get in your basement right now. You need to get away from the windows. You need to make sure you have your shoes on in a safe place. We talk about the interior portions. That includes a closet, a basement, even a bathroom if it's in the basement. And I know some bathrooms do have windows, but if that's your only option, hey, that's where you got to work with. Also, the bathtub is usually a heaviest item in your bathroom. And so you can get in that, you don't need the water, just get in there. And that usually, if you get walls blown away, roofs ripped off, usually the bathtub is one of those items that's left behind because it is so heavy. So again, tornado warning for St. Charles County. It looks like it's about right there. The little bright area you see, just west of 94, moving to the northeast. So eventually this thing is going to pass right over 64. And as mentioned, there's just so much construction in this area, a lot of new homes, new development right along that 64 corridor. So if you're watching from St. Charles County, even if you're not right along 64, maybe you're up in O'Fallon, St. Charles, St. Peters, you need to be in your safe place as well because this thing is on the move and eventually it will be moving over your location as well. And eventually, as it moves out of St. Charles County, what it'll do is probably clip here parts of Bridgeton and then drift into parts of North County before it heads up into Alton. So you're getting an early heads up if you're watching from North County and Alton as well. But St. Charles County, that's the one location you need to be in your basement right now. Tornado warning. I think this was until 5 o'clock, Gary, 5 a.m.? Yep. 5 a.m. And again, as mentioned, O'Fallon, Missouri, you're in this. New Mella, you're getting the worst of it right now. And eventually Cottleville, Weldon Spring, and clipping parts of Chesterfield. You can see how Chesterfield's right in that polygon right there. So some parts of Chesterfield, you may have some of the heavy rain and maybe some wind gusts as well. But it looks like the rotation here is about right there just west of 94. Gary, I know you've been on standby watching a lot of the other information here.
Yeah, and one thing that's important to note is you mentioned the National Weather Service office is there in Weldon Spring. They're actually taking shelter right now. So Kansas City, National Weather Service in Kansas City is now going to continue to issue these warnings and cancel them and whatever they need to do. So that's all part of this same storm system you've been tracking. And as it works its way right over, you'll see as it's moving through, this is obviously setting off the sirens in a lot of spots in St. Louis County. So let's go through it. And as Anthony mentioned, it is right over the radar. And you can see where it kind of gets in that radome where you don't see too much going on. And it just kind of distorts the view of it. But that's the tornado. At least the possible tornado that's working its way. So if you're in Cottleville, you're in St. Charles, really in Bridgeton, close to the airport. Technically on the south side of Chesterfield, you're not involved in this. I still like you to go ahead and get in your safe space either way. But it's obviously Wildwood probably not getting probably getting the sirens, but not involved in this tornado warning. I still want you to be prepared for this as well. Let's take a look at what's going on. And I switched to a different radar product. I switched to the one that's the terminal Doppler at the airport, so you don't have that distortion, just so you can see that a little bit better. And watch how this spin starts to work its way right over 94. And you're talking about 64 right before you're ready to cross the bridge here. And that's where this tornado, or at least where it looks like this tornado is starting to settle in. And those areas straight from Weldon Spring into Chesterfield, and that's where I want to zoom in to these areas specifically because for the most part, that's where we're really looking at here. It's this specific area right now as we track what's going on. It's that area specifically that we're looking at. Just to kind of give you an idea, I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of give you an idea of what's going on where you see this right about here from 94. That's where you'll see that little bitty area that's on the south side of this polygon. So from 64, right before Clarkson Clayton exit here, that's where this is headed. And it's really working its way almost right down the Missouri River here at this point. And so that's where we're looking at Maryland Heights. You're talking about 141, those areas. 141 to Maryland Heights, right to, pretty much when you go all the way down Clarkson, down 340 here. That's probably the biggest area that we're looking at here at this moment. So in terms of this wind threat, that's the tornado warning that's in place until 5 a.m., Anthony. So that's the main area right now. And as you mentioned, the National Weather Service office is taking shelter in Kansas City, has taken over for that warning. But it's that area specifically, and there may be more than one area in there that that is starting to see signs of rotation. So as you mentioned, everybody should take this seriously as the tornado sirens are likely going off at this point. As you see that start to shrink a little bit, but Anthony, that's the main area that we're looking at here so far, as we still have another 28 minutes or so of this tornado warning.
Yeah, so I got a few towns here I wanted to show you on the map. We've got our storm tracker out and about as well, driving around, and you can see the radar. So the radar shows the towns now in the path of where this tornado warned storm is heading. And right now, it's over Weldon Spring. It's in Cottleville. So as we speak, it's moving over those locations. And Gary, I really like how you showed that terminal velocity, because you really could see it moving over 94. I mean, that quick spin up, just for a second, it popped up and but looked like it was about to move over the Boone Bridge. So if your plans take you outside, perhaps you use 64 and you're like, I got to get to work, I would wait just a little bit. Just hold off, maybe wait 5-10 minutes as this thing passes by, because we just saw Gary show us here that rotation move right up to 94. So it's somewhere right over the radar site, right over Weldon Spring, right over 64 in this area right now. So there are your towns. This includes St. Peter's, at 4:38, 4:49 for you in St. Charles, Bridgeton, Florissant around 5 o'clock, Spanish Lake just after that, and eventually into West Alton around 5:20, Wood River 5:24. And those towns that are so far off onto the Illinois side, that's not a guarantee you're going to have the tornado warning. That just gives you a timing of when the storm will arrive. And of course, we saw how quick the spin up happened. I mean, if this thing fizzles and goes back to just a regular old rainstorm, then you won't have the tornado in those locations. But where you do have the tornado warning now is a large chunk of St. Charles County. This actually also includes Newtown up near 370, just not listed on the map there, and over towards Bridgeton and Florissant as well. And I want to get over to our velocity radar. This is what Gary was showing earlier, and you can really see how this is. I mean, if we were to try to find it, you really can't. He talked about the area here. I think it's called the cone of silence, where you kind of get over the radar and you can't see anything because it's right over you. So then the radar only scans that way, not directly up, kind of at an angle though. So what's finding, you get this little hole, and that's just the lack of data. And that's just because it's moving right over the radar site. So, I would think as this moves over the radar site, over the National Weather Service office here shortly, what we'll start to find is on the back end, we'll probably start to get some data that shows the wind speed, or the wind velocity, the spinning, the shear in the atmosphere as it moves over. It looks like 64, perhaps now lifting north into that 94, 364 corridor. Harvester, you're in there, Cottleville as well. So it's this area in St. Charles County and really parts of North County. You need to start getting prepared for that. You've probably already heard the sirens go off in North County, and I do think it's from Bridgeton, parts of Hazelwood, Blackjack, Spanish Lake, Florissant, where you could have some issues here, as this is, again, there's just a small chunk here that does include part of St. Louis County, and again, as also mentioned, part of Chesterfield there. Not the entire part of Chesterfield, really just the valley where you have all of the new development there near Topgolf and some of those other main event places down there. So it looks like right now we're just not finding the tornado spin here because it's right over the radar site. So we're going to go back to the rain, and what you find here when you do get the heavy rain and the wind over a radar site, you get these little spikes. You kind of see how the spikes are kind of, and that's just distorted rain because the radar is getting hammered right now with a lot of rain, maybe even some hail. And so that's kind of messing up what the radar looks like, these radar spikes. You see how they kind of just drift off like that. So for a little bit, we're going to have some distortion here when it comes to our radar, just because the rain is right over that site. And so that's kind of messing up how the radar is reading the data. But what I've also found is this gray area, that's our hail indicator. It looks like that's grown compared to what we had earlier. That really wasn't a thing. It looks like that's perhaps a factor here now, as the storm will probably be drifting off towards the northeast, eventually moving out of this area. So there's your tornado warning, show you the big map, the big picture. I mean, we have severe thunderstorm warnings that stretch all the way down into Jefferson County. Festus, you're getting hit hard right now. And this is basically for straight line wind gusts that could top 60 miles per hour. Farmington, St. Genevieve, Bloomsdale, eventually you're going to see these storms roll on through. Lesterville, Ironton, our far southern counties. But again, it's this particular one right here in St. Charles County that we do have a tornado warning on and also parts of St. Louis County, and that goes until about 5 o'clock this morning. So we still have another 20 minutes. I know a lot of folks, sometimes you hear the sirens and you don't see any rain and you think, well, that was a mistake, or maybe we're all clear. But that is not the case. You know, I'm seeing some reports here of some damage. Gary, I'm going to toss things over to you, and I'm going to go dig a little bit deeper into this.
Excellent. We're going to keep you posted. I did want to pull up Chesterfield camera because we're fortunate enough to have a camera there. I haven't seen anything too significant other than the fact that obviously we've got a lot of lightning that's going to be flashing, and you can see that continue. So this is the area that's under currently a tornado warning right now until 5 o'clock. Likely you're up early. You've heard the sirens go off, and I want to find out specifically where I think that you can see the flashes of lightning, just very consistent. This tornado warning still in place for St. Charles, St. Louis County, North St. Louis County as well. And I don't think it's the only area that we're going to still concern ourselves with, but let's start here and show you. And as Anthony mentioned, this gets distorted because it goes right over the radar site that's in Weldon Spring. You can see that big white dome sometimes when you cross the river here right after 64. But what I want to focus in on is where this is. As it started to work its way into that area, we've switched the radar, and I switched to the terminal Doppler. And this is a different radar product that is coming from closer to the airport. And you can see this a little bit better. Not only do we have that wind surge, but also really from St. Peter's to Cottleville, Harvester, Jacobs, 94 and 364 right before St. Charles. That's where I'd look specifically for the potential for that rotation here. And those are the areas that I'd like you to be in your safe space here as we continue to look at some of these things behind this. So this is St. Charles, this is Bridgeton, this is 270 and 70 right as it crosses the river. I mean, this is right near the river as well. So we are continuing to look at this specifically here overall. And this is the main area that we're focused on as we look at this surge of wind from north of Chesterfield all the way into Cottleville and behind that as well. As we look ahead, I still think, you know, in many other spots along the leading edge of this line, it's not out of the question as we look closer to Jerseyville, a little further north, that especially near Carrollton, that we may start to see additional areas that are, you know, at least areas of concern throughout the morning. So we've been talking a lot about the Missouri side so far because that's where the main line is. But when we look at the surge that continues to push through, that's the main area that we have here at this moment. As we continue to communicate with some of our emergency management partners, you can see that, you know, we're still going to continue to look at some of this. And, you know, the positive news as this works its way through, it looks like the National Weather Service office has resumed coverage and switched back things from Kansas City. So that means they have gotten through safely behind that. So the radar site here and their office at Weldon Spring, that has moved through, but still a significant loud thunderstorm, still a tornado warning in place. And you can see the leading edge of that surge now has moved through St. Peter's, but still St. Charles, you still have about 5 minutes or so. So I'd like you to go ahead and get in your safe space from Bridgeton at 270. So that's what we're going to continue to monitor here. And Anthony, you've been looking at some of the things and checking on some reports of damage. What did you find as you kind of get a few things?
It looks like near the Sullivan area where we were talking earlier, 185. I got it circled here on the map.
Well, it'd be Highway D, I think we were looking at, right?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Sullivan, right off, just south of, and southeast of 44. In fact, we have our crew headed that direction right now. So in Sullivan or just southeast of there, it looks like that's where we were hearing some reports of damage. But I have not seen or heard of any other reports of damage anywhere in our viewing area. So as we get through the storm, I don't want you to do it now. After the threat passes, you know, go examine your house, make sure the siding and everything is still intact and trees are, you know, not threatening any power lines near your home. And that is area wide. I'm not just talking to you guys down in Sullivan and Caseyville. This is for all of us as we get through the morning. But the threat is still in place now, so make sure you're in your basement, you're hunkered down and, you know, staying safe as we go through it. See at least the next, I'd say, 20 minutes because that tornado warning is still in place and now is moving over just north of the radar site in Weldon Springs. So there's your tornado warning for St. Charles County, again, clipping parts of North St. Louis County. And in fact, the leading edge is about to move into parts of Bridgeton right now over towards Earth City. Where you have some of the casinos there right along the Missouri River into St. Charles County. So that's about to hit that area right now as we speak. And we've been talking about the towns in the path of the storm, and here you go. I'll just move out of the way so you can see this clearly. St. Charles, it's really on your doorstep right now. Hazelwood, you got about 10 minutes until that moves into your area. Even though that part is not highlighted with a tornado warning, if this continues to hold together, you'll likely have that in your neighborhood. Even Florissant, 458. And this is north of 270. So I know there's some parts of Florissant, Ferguson that go beyond 270. So this is north of 270 up near Lindbergh, into Hazelwood as well. And then eventually into West Alton around 509 and Portage de Sioux and Bethalto eventually closer to 528. So we've been talking about this velocity, and now you can actually see it a little better because, again, these storms have been moving. They're not just sitting still. So there's your cone of silence, the radar, right, where you can't see a whole lot over. And now we're getting these winds. You see how the winds are pushing away from the storm. All that red, that's the strong wind. But then you see this wind coming this way, right? There's a little area here. So that's your couplet, your rotation that you have. And that's how the radar detects wind, because it's just a straight beam. So either the wind's going this way or it's going away, right? Because you can't detect it any other way. Wind is fluid. It doesn't just move in one straight line like the radar does. And so that's what you're getting here. Wind going that way, and then boom, right here, wind coming back in. So sometimes that's also known as an inflow, and that's kind of like the fuel for these storms. We've had so much moisture and heat and humidity the last couple of days. And so what you're getting is these winds kind of being pulled into the storm, and then the rotation coming around like that. And so again, this is right, I'd say, just north of the Missouri River. A pretty populated area. There's a lot of golf courses over here as well, and homes. Missouri Bluffs, yep. And that's going to probably, if this stays on the same path, and I'm just speculating here because there's a large area in St. Charles County that's in this warning, but I really think if this continues to head this direction, it's probably going to move over near Maryland Heights. And so you kind of see how you're on the cusp of that in the Bridgeton. I really think it's this southern portion where you're going to have the biggest concern. Because that's where you see the couplet again, because you don't see that here. You just see straight line winds all going away from the radar site. That's the red you see, the wind going away. The green is coming towards. And so right along, I'd say the Missouri River into Weldon Spring, this is just south of 94, going into parts of St. Louis County here shortly. I'd say probably in the next 10 minutes that's going to cross over the Missouri River if it keeps on the same path. You know this by now, that tornadoes don't just take one exact path. Sometimes they drift a little north and kind of go a little south. And so if this stays on the same path, that's where it's going. But if this drifts north, heads up into St. Charles, St. Peter's, that could impact your area. That's why you have such a large area of concern here. So tornado warning still in place until 5 o'clock, so we still have another 15 minutes to go for St. Charles County and parts of northern St. Louis County, including Bridgeton, including Maryland Heights, over near that 270 Dorset area. A lot of businesses there, a lot of homes, and a really populated area. I mean, this is near the airport. And so, you know, if you have plans, you usually head out to work right now, you're getting the kids off to school, you take 70, perhaps you come in from St. Charles and you drive over the bridge going into St. Louis. I would hold off. I would just wait maybe a half hour until you leave the house. This is one of those days where you just have to make an exception, you know, and that's really just the bottom line. We live in Tornado Alley, and every now and again we just have to put our plans on pause when it comes to severe weather. And so here you go. You can see we go back to the radar site, and let's get those towns off of there since this is moving. And you can see how the radar scanning, updating right now as we speak. And it looks like it's already raining over in Bridgeton, already raining in Creve Coeur, Maryland Heights. Creve Coeur, you're not in this. Olivet, you're not in this. Wildwood, Kirkwood, you're not in any of this. Down towards 141, Wildwood, yeah, you have rain, thunder, but that's not the tornado warning. The tornado warning is for parts of St. Charles County and northern St. Louis County. And yes, it's raining. I mean, it's pouring right along that 70 corridor in St. Charles. So even though you think, oh, we're not going to get the tornado, it's really coming down. I mean, not only are you going to have issues with ponding on the roadway, there could even be some isolated flooding in spots, of course, those low-lying areas, because this is really heavy rain, and that's the red you see. It's pouring buckets in that area. Lighter green, that's just plain old rain along that inner belt down towards Brentwood and into Melville. Let's go a little bit wider out because, you know, we do have other areas in our viewing area that sometimes we don't focus on when we have one particular storm that's producing a rotation. But you see how this thing now is pulling out of Jefferson County, moving into Monroe County, down towards St. Genevieve, St. Francis, and even farther south than that into parts of our southern counties. This area here I had circled, that's where we were talking about the damage that was reported, and we're looking into that as we speak. So again, if you're just waking up and joining us, I know folks wake up at different times. If you've been watching for a while, I know it may sound like we're just repeating, but you know, folks are waking up and hearing the sirens, and we want to just get you up to speed. St. Charles County, tornado warning, North St. Louis County from Bridgeton to parts of Maryland Heights, you have that area included as well. And I want to get back over to the velocity because, again, we talk about these storms moving, things change, and I can tell you what, this has certainly changed in the last few minutes. We showed you the couplet here, and it looks like it's just all straight line wind now, going away from the radar. So I don't see a couplet anymore. That's a velocity couplet. That's when you would have the red and the green right up against each other, right? And so you see how this is all red. It's just one large area of red. You have the green because there's a radar and the wind blowing towards it and then the wind blowing away from it. And so that's why it all looks, you know, it looks dangerous, but it's just the wind blowing in one uniform direction. It's not a threat, at least when it comes to the rotation just yet. I just don't see that here, but we have been seeing it. I mean, in fact, the spin up originated back here near 94. Gary showed us that. It then rolled right over the office if it did, in fact, stay on the ground. And then eventually now it looks like it's pulling somewhere around here. The Missouri River pulling close to, I'd say that's, is that the Page extension? Get my bearings here, 370. Yes, that is the Page extension here. So that's the Page extension. It's probably going right over there near Creve Coeur Park, Creve Coeur Lake Park. And looks like if there is rotation, it would be somewhere along here, but we're just not seeing that right now. And this warning goes for another 12 minutes. Gary, I know I've been talking a little bit.
Hey, it's all
You've been
good,
getting some new information. Do you have anything to pass along?
No, I just wanted to show you a couple of different things, similar things to what you're passing on. I've been obviously following with the emergency managers and the National Weather Service. Just kind of some updates here. We'll look still at Chesterfield. We've been looking at the airport as well. Flashes of lightning here as it's changed on me just a little bit, and you're able to see that specific area right now that you pointed out. And like you mentioned, it's close to the radar. It's going to be distorted. It looks really weird. They're still going to get this tornado warning is still in place for another 10 minutes here for St. Charles. And as we monitor, and I've switched, this is still on this terminal Doppler here specifically, but what you're able to see are some of these little couplets here. And this is north of Maryland Heights. Those are the areas that are probably the biggest focus right now in terms of the potential spin-up brief tornadoes that are really specifically, like you mentioned, this is just right north of 364, in between 364 and 70. That's the area. As it gets closer to the airport, we'll have a better idea of what's going on. And like you mentioned, those are the specific locations that we're looking at, even as we switch the radar product. And that's what's going on right now. As you switch the radar product, you can see the differences in color here because as it gets closer to the radar, the terminal Doppler, closer to the airport, you can see where we start to see these little brief weak circulations. And what they're going to see is, I think, as we get closer to 5 o'clock, we're going to monitor whether or not we have these areas continue to hold their strength and shape, that we still have that potential for those brief weak tornadoes that are still in place. Like I mentioned, as we kind of zoom into those spots specifically, this is St. Charles, this is near Bridgeton, this is right around 70 and 141. So that's the main area of concern. So if you're in Bridgeton, you're in North County, as Anthony has mentioned, anywhere even downstream, that's where I hold off on getting on the road just yet because it's nighttime. It's tough to see these. We've already seen a radar confirmed tornado near Sullivan earlier that has the potential that we're looking at some damage, and our Mercedes McKay will be there shortly here to give us an update on some of that here. But this is a storm that the leading edge of it still has the possibility for some of these brief weak tornadoes that are causing damage. They're difficult to see. So as we have this tornado warning that's in place for another 9 minutes, that's the main area of concern for us so far as we get closer to things. And this is north of Maryland Heights. This is in Bridgeton. This is right across 70 and 141, between 364 and 70. That's the main area of concern as I zoom back in just a little bit more. And I know while the colors don't show a ton, that brief weak circulation looks to be right now right about 141, and it's right here. And I could just kind of put this, and this is something Anthony's going to check with you for you shortly, but just to kind of put this into perspective and show you, you know, where this is. what you can see specifically is it's right about here. It's right near Maryland Heights. That little circle right about here, that's where we're looking at. Those areas right at 270 and 70, that's the area of concern. Closer as you get closer to the airport, you turn onto that north of 270, north of Maryland Heights. As you get back on the airport, or you can go to St. Charles. That's the main area of concern right now. And so as we continue to monitor this right now, that's what we're looking at here. The big picture shows the radar. It looks like a big mess, but this tornado warning is still in place until 5 o'clock. So down the road, Florissant, you're not involved in this right now. Ferguson, Spanish Lake, as we continue, it continues to kind of hang around the river. And Anthony, you've been monitoring this situation and checking on things right now. It looks like a mess right now, but what's going on?
We just got word of the damage we were talking about earlier. Remember we showed you this damage here? There was a bar that was hit. And our Mercedes McKay is there on scene, and she said that it is completely leveled, gone. Hilltop Lounge, that's the name of it, and just outside of Sullivan, right on 141. And they say that thing is just gone. That's literally what she said in our text here. Also, we got some reports in that area near Sullivan of trees down, a lot of trees. And so Sullivan near Caseyville, that 185 corridor where I have it circled here, that's where we're talking the damage that was reported not only from some residents there, but also from our Mercedes McKay who's on scene. So that's one update we do have for you. Of course, the tornado warning now, this same area where we've been talking about these quick little spin ups, doesn't take much. You get a quick spin up and boom, you're, dealing with an issue. And so there you go. So tornado warning still for St. Charles County. It looks like the leading edge now is perhaps moving into unincorporated St. Charles County near 94 north of Newtown. Also just now beginning to pull into Bridgeton, lifting through parts of Maryland Heights. But you see, that's just all of the rain that's outside of the polygon. That's just heavy rain pouring buckets, from north to south. But it's this area here where you do have the tornado warning, at least for another 7 minutes. And now if this thing holds together, it's going to lift north into Alton, crossing over the Mississippi and into Elsa and Godfrey eventually, if it holds together. And that means it would be there at about 5:13 for you in Alton, and eventually pushing into parts of like Shipman, Illinois, Bunker Hill around 5:40. And that's, again, if it holds together. That's just to give you a time to help you plan if you do live in these areas. Gary's been doing a wonderful job showing you that terminal velocity. You can really pick out the inflow, the spin-ups that we've been finding. And I tell you what, just looking at this particular radar product, it looks like it's all straight line wind right now. So there may be some reevaluating that the National Weather Service is doing right now, of course, just coming out of their safe place because of the actual, tornado warning moving over their site. And so they're probably evaluating what they're going to do with this warning here. At 5 o'clock, it will either expire or it will be extended before that into parts of North County and to parts of Alton as well. But I tell you what, I just don't see a huge spin up. Now, there are some areas where you got just a little bit, it looked like here outside of the warning near U City, but I do not think that is actually a tornado part of the storm, perhaps just some gusty wind. A lot of times on the leading edge of the storms, you get that strong wind gust right before the storms come through. And so that's what I think it's a little turbulence in the atmosphere. We've, of course, had the rotation, but I just don't see it from this vantage point. Again, you're looking at the velocity radar, and that measures the wind, how it's hitting the radar. And you get two colors here, the red and the green. And that's how the radar beam detects how the wind is hitting it. So you see as it scans, the wind is blowing away from the radar site, all one uniform direction. And what we would need to see is two colors together, green and red. And we just don't see that here in the tornado warned area. But if it would be anywhere, as Gary was mentioning, right along 141, perhaps about to be pulling into parts of Bridgeton, right along that St. Charles curve and 270 where things go north, where 270 kind of goes from north and shifts over towards North County, approaching McDonald and Missouri Bottom, those areas. So again, I just don't see a strong rotation here. Not to say that one won't pop up quickly, but that's why we have the tornado warning in place for at least another 4 minutes. So we'll go back to the radar, and there you can see, again, this is just, this really heavy rain. If there is a tornado, this is something you certainly would not be able to see. You hear it rain-wrapped a lot of times that term. This is probably a rain-wrapped tornado. And I wanted to also zoom out and show you the rest of our area because we do have severe thunderstorms warnings down into Farmington, even our southernmost counties, Iron, Reynolds, all of those counties down there, Madison as well, St. Francis, St. Genevieve, severe thunderstorm warnings that continue to impact those areas. Heavy rain, straight line wind up to 60 miles per hour is what you can expect in those locations, and now beginning to push into parts of Monroe County off onto the Illinois side. The purple box you see here, that's a tornado watch that's been in place overnight, and that actually goes until 8 o'clock this morning. So even though we have the risk of the tornadoes right now, if they don't shave that back, at least, you know, with the thinking, I don't see much behind it. And that's the point here. I just don't see them leaving that up until 8. They probably will start to shave that back because you look beyond the radar and you can actually see things are starting to clear out. In fact, let's go back a little bit closer in, and I wanted to get back to this tornado warning. St. Charles County here at 4:57. This goes until 5 o'clock. And as we go through the next few minutes, what we'll do here is reset our show and allow the open to run, and then we'll continue our coverage here shortly. Gary, I know you checked our computers.
Yeah.
Did you find any new
Yeah, I
information?
want to get a couple things. Like you mentioned, you don't see necessarily the fact that there is broad rotation, or the rotation is becoming more broad and not tight. As we look at the airport, that's one of the spots that was closer to that. You don't see anything more than flashes of lightning, wind moving things around just a little bit more. A couple of things of note, as Anthony mentioned, perhaps not rotating at this moment, becoming more of a straight line wind threat. You can actually see that just south of 141 where there could be a little burst of wind, and that's what we're going to be looking at ahead. So that's what the National Weather Service is looking at right now. If that trend continues over the next 2 minutes, they won't continue this tornado warning for other spots. Doesn't mean it's not an issue or an area of concern, but one thing I did want to point out from a big picture standpoint is the fact that, like Anthony mentioned, on the other side of things are your tornado threat is winding down. On the Illinois side, we have seen additional counties started to be introduced into that tornado watch. So that's something that continues till 8 o'clock. I don't know if those specifically are going to be moved past 8 o'clock as part of a larger area, but that's one thing right now. And as you look right now, our polygon still there for another minute or so, and you can see the airport, still, it's just storms at the moment. For another minute 15 as we continue to monitor a few things and just to kind of get a full update on what they're thinking here. We're still going to continue to work on things. They still haven't had any sort of change to their thinking as we still see this for another minute. But right now, this is the area that at least doesn't quite have the tight rotation that we had seen once in place. So what they've done, and we continue to see another severe thunderstorm warning for St. Francis County, which is till 5:45, and we'll mention that. But that's maybe an area north of Hazelwood that we'll watch here so far this morning. But it's just about 5 o'clock, and what we're going to do is continue to keep you up to date as you look at the airport. We'll reset and talk. We'll start our 5 o'clock news. We have Rennie, we have Michelle, we have Anthony, we have Paul. He's busy, but we'll start our 5 o'clock news, and we'll continue our storm alert coverage as part of our Weather First Team's update on this tornado warning.
We just need to run open. We
You need to run open. I don't need to do anything. They want us to run the opens, otherwise I get lambasted in these Teams messages. So.
Hello.
Hey, testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, buddy, I'm here.
This is Today in St. Louis, focused on you.
All right, well, this morning we've been tracking severe storms, and they are working their way through St. Louis Metro as we speak. Before we went to break, we had a tornado warning that has expired now. Otherwise, we would have stayed with you. And so that threat now has expired for St. Charles and St. Louis County when it comes to the rotation we were finding in the storm earlier this morning. So what you're seeing is the radar and our storm tracker on the road this morning in those hardest hit areas. In fact, you can see this large line of storms continues to produce severe thunderstorm warnings now. It looks like a new one was just issued there for our northern portions of our viewing area just west of Litchfield. This entire line working its way through the metro, about to cross over to the Mississippi and the Missouri, or the from the Missouri side of the river to the Illinois side, now from Monroe County down towards parts of Farmington. It looks like Sparta and Chester, Illinois. You've got a new severe thunderstorm warning. But right now, no more tornado warnings. Those have been expired, and we are hearing damage now that has been confirmed. We told you about the name of this the bar off of 141 near Sullivan. That looks like they had a name change here recently, so it was the one we reported. I believe, Gary, you're over at the computer. What was it? One more pub and grub is the name of that bar that was destroyed there off of 185. And in fact, hearing of trees and damage over 185, and our Mercedes McKay, she is in that area, and she's going to bring us an update shortly. So the tornado warnings have expired. We have severe thunderstorm warnings still in place, and we have heavy rain encompassing all of our neighborhoods here in St. Louis, now pushing off towards the Metro East. But as mentioned, no more tornado warnings for now. We still do have a tornado watch for our area until 8 o'clock this morning, so we're not completely out of the threat, but in the immediate short term, the tornado warnings have been allowed to expire. Heavy rain, lots of lightning, and definitely ponding on our roadways. And that is probably one thing you're going to have to deal with this morning if you are headed out right now and you're trying to get to work and school. So St. Louis Metro getting hit hard right now, but no active tornado warnings in our area as we speak, and so we will resume coverage as normal here as we go through the rest of the morning. And of course, until we, if we do get another tornado warning, we of course will come back to our wall-to-wall coverage. In the meantime, that's a recap of our weather. We'll dry out as we head towards the morning hours. In fact, after this pushes through, we'll be done with the rain today, but our attention turns to our next storm alert, which is in place tomorrow, and we're going to talk all about that coming up this morning. I believe we're going to get an update on our roadways. Let's get over to Paul Cook. He's been standing by this morning watching all this heavy rain come down. Paul, good morning to you. What's happening out there right now?
You said it, raining buckets, and that's really what we're looking at here with our MoDOT camera. You can't see a ton of traffic, but you do see folks out there, and we're going to be watching this closely with what you and Gary have been talking about already for hours this morning, and that is ponding of water, visibility, and there's already construction, lane closures that haven't been moved or can't be moved. We want to make sure we're watching that because that could cause major delays and even danger out there. Right here, the arrow you're seeing, that's where we did have the camera, 70 at 94. We'll be looking at cameras all morning and maps. So important to look at the maps and the actual delays out there, and already pad yourself in some extra time this morning. That's really important. Obviously, we're going to be watching for what moves on through. You were hearing about Bridgeton, St. Charles to Bridgeton, and then North County as we'll be moving Alton. Those will be very important roadways. Anywhere south of 6440 right now, I'm not seeing any tapping of the brakes. But again, it's very early, very dark. Be careful, and awareness is absolutely key, guys.
We continue now in our storm alert. It's been a very busy morning. The guys have been on television since, overnight following these storms, and we're getting a better idea of just how impactful those storms are right now.
Yeah, we're getting a live report from Mercedes McKay. She's joining us live in Sullivan. Mercedes, what can you tell us? What have you seen this morning?
Good morning, Rennie and Michelle. Well, minutes ago, I just got off the phone with the Sullivan Police Department, and they did confirm with me that that bar, previously known as Hilltop Lounge, now One More Pub and Grub, she told me that her police officers were not back yet, so she couldn't tell me if it was completely destroyed, but she said there was heavy damage. So again, minutes ago, just got off the phone with Sullivan Police Department. We do have heavy confirmed damage in that area. My photographer and I, we have the GPS up. We will be there in 8 minutes and give y'all updates. But let me give you a look at the roads right now. This is what we've been seeing for probably about the last 15 to 20 minutes. It is heavy downpour. There was actually a time ago where we had to slow down just because of how heavy it was. It was really hard for us to see. So please stay home if you can, because it is really bad out there. The roads are slick and you really have to drive slow because it is just coming down there. But if you do have to get to work, we understand. We had to get to work this morning. I'm going to pull up a full screen now so you can see the best way to take cover if you're out on the roads during the severe weather. So first, you need to find the closest shelter in a sturdy building. Keep in mind that sheds and storage facilities are not safe. And if you can't make it to a safe shelter, get down in your car and cover your head, or just abandon your car completely, and then you'll want to seek shelter in a low-lying area like a ditch. Now make sure you avoid open spaces and high ground, and most important thing to remember is being in a vehicle during a tornado is not safe at all. So if you can postpone, like Anthony and Gary have mentioned all morning long, getting to work, then that is the best thing to do, because you do not want to be out there right now. Again, Rennie and Michelle, we will be at that damage in Sullivan in about 7 minutes. So we will update you as soon as we get on the ground about what we're seeing out there. I was looking on Facebook just a couple minutes ago. It's all people can talk about. They said they woke up to those tornado sirens, and then they're just sending pictures of this intense damage at that bar. So we will get to y'all momentarily, and again, we'll be there in 7 minutes. Minutes ago, just got off the phone with the Sullivan Police Department, and they have confirmed damage in that area. Heavy rain is coming down over here in Sullivan, so make sure if you have to be out on the roads, if you're on your morning commute, make sure you drive slow. For now, live in the Storm Tracker, Mercedes McKay, 5 on your side.
Mercedes, before we let you go, I've noticed something when I see your shot. A lot of the semi trucks off to the side of the road. What are you seeing when it comes to the trucks and the traffic this morning?
Yeah, really good point there, Rennie. There have been a lot of trucks on the side of the road, actually just taking cover while the rain was just coming down. So yes, as you mentioned, there are a lot. I'm going to give you that look again. There is a couple semi trucks in front of us. People are driving slow, but as you mentioned, there have been a lot that have been sitting on the side of the road, taking that cover, because we have gone through a ton of heavy downpours right now. We're seeing more traffic than we have in the last 30 minutes, but good note there, we have seen a lot of trucks on the side of the road, Rennie.
Thank you, Mercedes.
All right, in the meantime, you know what, we've been getting a lot of texts from folks. You can always text us if you're safe, by the way. Hail, lightning. That's where we're going to pick up the story with Diamond Palmer. She's live in Belleville this morning. Diamond, what are you seeing?
Well, Michelle and Rennie, as you can see, it's already kind of hard to hold this umbrella here. I'm going to step it out of the way so you can see. Now, just about 5 minutes before we came on air here, we started seeing this downpour here. We're here live in Belleville downtown. We've heard rumbles of thunder, lightning strike, and as you can see just by how fast this rain is moving past downtown, it is coming down fairly quick and fairly hard. We did see police come through this area and make sure that nobody was out, of course. This is a great time to seek shelter immediately right now. Although much of our viewing area has been under a tornado watch this morning, much of it has expired, but again, a great time to seek shelter as we're starting to see this severe weather pick up. So where we are right now is just about 16 miles east of our downtown St. Louis station, and St. Clair County has just over 250,000 people. So let's break down how you can protect yourself and your family this morning right now. So the National Weather Service says the worst options for finding shelter during tornadoes are mobile homes, cars, and large open rooms. Better options this morning are interior rooms of homes or office buildings, and of course a basement. Now, before severe weather strikes, it's best to sign up for notifications through the National Weather Service and St. Clair Emergency Management. Now, of course, we are going to continue to track this scene here in Belleville as it starts to rain even more, and we're starting to hear more lightning and things like that. We have reached out to St. Clair County Emergency Management to see how they are preparing for the severe weather this morning and throughout the day, and we have not heard back from them yet. But so far, there are about 199 people, according to Ameren right now, in the Metro East without power. We'll continue to keep you updated. Live in Belleville, Diamond Palmer, 5 on your side.
Thank you, Diamond. We are following the numbers too on the power outages now. According to Ameren, Missouri, this is about 5:04 this morning. 2,569 people were affected by the power outages throughout our area. That included 272 people in St. Louis County, but 1,078 people in Washington County. We will continue to follow these numbers and keep you updated as well as with the traffic and what's happening outside. Remember, you can always keep track of things by texting 314-425-5355. Just text weather to that number. We will send you a link to keep you updated on what's going on. Plus, you can always follow us on the 5 on your side app. Let's toss things over to Anthony Slaughter now.
All right, before we send you to break here, just a recap of the radar. You can see the heavy rain that's coming down. No active tornado warnings right now, but we do have heavy rain and gusty wind, severe thunderstorm warnings still dotting the map. So as you send the kids off to the bus stop this morning, definitely need the umbrellas. Maybe one of those days where you let them wait in the car with you, or you maybe just drive them to school yourself. Numbers will top out in the 80s today. After the morning rain, we dry out later on, but we do have another round of thunderstorms on the way tomorrow. We will be right back after this.
Through the streets of Soho in the rain, he was looking for the place called Eho Fooks. Gonna get a big dish of beef chow mein. Where was London? Where was London? Around your kitchen door, you better not let him in. Little old lady got mutilated late last night. Werewolves of London again. Werewolves of London. Werewolves of London.
All right, welcome back. We want to start you off live here with our storm alert in Belleville, where they are getting rocked with some very heavy rain right now. This rain is the leading edge, and it's the leading edge that usually has the strongest wind gust, and that's what we're finding this morning. So no tornado warning, but definitely heavy rain and certainly strong wind gusts are rolling through the Belleville area, along with lightning and thunder. Want to show you the Doppler radar. This is really important, and it tells the story of what we have going on this morning. You can see the shield of rain that's working its way eastward now onto the Illinois side of the river. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings, so we're going to go through them now. Just north of Litchfield, this is a severe thunderstorm warning that encompasses Carlinville, North Palmyra, and it's mainly for wind this morning. We're finding gusts that top 50 to 60 miles per hour. So this is for Macoupin and Montgomery County until 5:45. And then our southern counties, this is where we still do have a little bit of rotation. If we were to get any kind of tornado warning, I think it would be in these locations from St. Genevieve, St. Francis, and Randolph County until 5:45. And again, it's straight line wind that we're watching out for. So it's one of those instances you don't want to be by the windows. You want to get away from those windows because straight line winds usually can do that, break the windows or even bring down trees and power lines. Same deal down in Fredericktown and 12 Mile. You have a severe thunderstorm warning until 5:30 here for Madison and St. Francis County. Those are our warnings, and that's it. But you see St. Louis, heavy rain, and that leading edge we just showed you here out in Belleville down towards Smithton, that's where you have the strong wind gusts, but nothing severe in that area. Of course, this is the story of the morning. We've been talking about the wind with these storms, and this is the wind velocity radar. So what it's showing here, there's your radar site, wind blowing towards the radar and then blowing away. And so these are all straight line winds. You see how they're all going one uniform direction. And so that gives us an indication there's not much swirl in the atmosphere, at least here in the metro area. But as mentioned, some areas south, down near Bloomsdale, St. Genevieve, Farmington, you very well could have a quick spin up here, but no warnings just yet for those areas. So it's severe thunderstorm warnings for now until about 5:45. We go through the afternoon with temperatures drying out into the 80s, but our next storm alert is already issued for tomorrow. We'll, of course, go over this through the morning as we continue our coverage here on Today in St. Louis. Thanks for staying with us. Let's get over to Paul and talk about our traffic this morning. Paul, do you have any issues, accidents out there?
We're following that little band of weather that you are talking about here. No major issues. Visibility, though, is definitely an issue as it's coming down here. We're going to be following that all morning as it goes. And, yeah, you were just in Belleville. You see some lightning there right now. This is Lindbergh at 270. That corner here, Maryland Heights, just right there where you have the arrow. We moved the arrow as we've been following the storm here. And yes, we are seeing yellow. Yellow on our maps is just a bit of a compromised speed out there. And I wanted to run some of those speeds for you. We're in the 40s in some spots in that area, 47, 48 on the inner belt. That's going to be really important as we move forward to check those times. And I want to make sure that we're going over that because it really will affect your morning commute because of ponding. We'll have another take of traffic coming up, guys.
All right, thanks so much, Paul. Before we head to break, we want to take a live look. This is from Sullivan, Missouri. We are in the storm tracker. This is where Mercedes was headed, and we can see some pretty sustainable damage there. It looks like really you could say that that is a loss for that building.
I know Anthony was speaking earlier about one of the bars there got hit, and this may be that bar. Pretty much leveled at this point. You can see some people out there already trying to assess the damage and get an idea of what the morning light is going to bring when it comes to their world and the damages that they're dealing with. But it appears that that building is pretty much a loss.
Absolutely. Mercedes, as we just said, just got on the scene. So we're going to go to break. And when we come back, we will learn more.
I spent a lot of money and I spent a lot of time. The trip we made to Hollywood is etched upon my mind. After all the things we've done and seen, you find another man. The things you think are useless, I can't understand. Are you reeling in the years, stowing away the time? Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine? Are you reeling in the years, stowing away the time? Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine?
All right, welcome back on this Tuesday morning. We have been tracking strong and severe thunderstorms all morning long, and you can see now the storms are pushing off towards the Illinois side of the river. We have a tornado watch that's been extended now until 8 o'clock for some of our counties here through the next few hours. These counties here, for some reason, it's just not showing up, but we'll get that updated for you. The severe thunderstorm warnings extend just north of Litchfield down south into parts of southern Illinois and southern Missouri. We don't have any in the metro, but we have had certainly some strong wind, and even down in Sullivan, the report of the damage you saw before we went to break. So here's a recap of our severe thunderstorm warnings right now. Macoupin County in Illinois, Montgomery County in Illinois, including North Palmyra, that 111 corridor at 108, Carlinville in there. Straight line wind is the main concern this morning. 60-mile-per-hour winds that could bring down some power lines and trees and things like that. A severe thunderstorm warning south now in Randolph, St. Genevieve County until 5:45. And then also down in parts of Madison County. It looks like it's been shaved back just west of Fredericktown, but still 12-mile Fredericktown. You've got some hail being reported there, and also those straight line winds. Again, that's the main concern here, and you can see is now it's moving just east of Belleville. Whenever you get that comma shape in these storms, that little comma shape denotes that you've got a strong push of wind coming in behind the storm, and that's why you have the wind gusts that we've been seeing topping 50, 60 miles per hour. But where it is not severe weather it's just pouring rain. I mean, St. Louis Metro from Creve Coeur, Melville, Arnold, downtown, Granite City, Sauget, you're getting really hammered right now, even out towards Summerfield and approaching you in Breeze, Illinois as well. This is a radar that we don't always show. It is our velocity radar, and it tracks the wind. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because as the radar is scanning, which you'll find here, the green, that's the wind going towards the radar, okay? And our radar is right here in Weldon Spring. Then the wind on the other side of it going away. And you see how it's all one uniform color. You don't have the greens and reds meeting up against each other. And that's where you would have spin in the atmosphere. You'd have rotation. You have some kind of tornado trying to form. And we just don't see that. So I do think the tornadic threat in St. Louis Metro, the Metro East, Belleville, Edwardsville, Troy, Illinois, has diminished. But there is still a little indication here down in our southern counties. You're getting a little spin down in St. Francis, St. Genevieve every now and again. So that's why you still have those severe thunderstorm warnings in place. May have to have another tornado warning in spots, perhaps in these areas south, if we do get anything. And then, as mentioned, they did just extend the tornado watch for some of these counties here. So we're not out of the clear completely, but I do think that as we go through the morning hours, we're losing that threat. The timing of what's happening right now is usually working against severe weather. Usually you need the heating of the day, and we're kind of on the opposite where we've got the cooling of the night. And so as we go towards sunrise, a lot of what we're expecting to happen is this to fall apart. The low-level jet usually shuts off at night, and so that's also fueling some of this rain that we're getting from the Gulf of Mexico. That just kind of rides right up from the Gulf, and then, of course, you bring in a front, and boom, you've got enhanced rain. And so by lunchtime, we'll start to dry out today. We'll be up near 80 by then. It's already warm out the door. Numbers are in the 70s area-wide, and that leads us to a very warm, steamy kind of day today. 84 degrees is where we're headed. Now, we have another round of strong storms on the way tomorrow afternoon and evening. In fact, tomorrow's outlook is higher than today's, and so this is just a practice round for a lot of locations to know where to go, to be ready to jump into action as soon as those sirens hit and you get into your basement. So tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, another round of strong storms. And then after that, we'll dry out for a couple of days. Thursday and Friday, we're in the 70s. The weekend, of course, it is Mother's Day on Sunday. We could have some spotty showers around, but it doesn't look like we'll have severe weather. And the rest of our 10-day forecast shows an active pattern still. I mean, up near 80 degrees, more thunderstorm chances by midweek of next week. All right, so we'll keep you posted if we do have any new tornado warnings, but right now, again, it's just heavy, heavy rain. And, well, Paul has been finding that's creating some issues this morning. I see you have your first crash of the morning.
You said it, my friend. Absolutely very early to have that first accident. Great job there, Anthony. 70 at Cave Springs here. One vehicle involved in the accident here going westbound. 70 in St. Peters, Cave Springs. Now, this is near Fort Zumwalt East, so that's a little bit of the concern here and why it matters. You also have Barnes Jewish, St. Peters there nearby, so that could affect a route to the hospital, ambulance, that type of thing. So that concerns me a little little bit. That's your accident. It's going westbound, so it'd be right before 370. That's the only one we're dealing with right now. But look at all this activity, or lack thereof, near the airport. That's where we see all the yellow tapping of brakes and folks going slower, probably dealing with a lot of that rain out there. So we're going to keep a very close eye on that. And again, 70 westbound, right near Fort Zumwalt East. We do have an accident. Another take of traffic coming your way soon. Also weather and more on Today in St. Louis.
Pretty plain. You don't like my point of view. You think that I'm insane. It's not sane. It's not sane. I just want someone to save me. Oh, 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 oh. I'll always be there when you're away. Yeah. You know I like to keep my cheeks dry today. So stay with me and I'll have it made.
Welcome back to Today in St. Louis. We are in storm alert this morning. It is 5:30. This is a live look in Sullivan, where Mercedes McKay arrived just a few moments ago. You can see the damage that was done. We believe this is a bar. Some folks are already out there taking a look at the damage. The sun will be coming up in just a few minutes, and they'll get a better look at what has actually hit that area.
If you know that area right now, a lot of people are saying this is known as the Old Hilltop. A lot of people still refer to it as the Hilltop Bar. Also, we're getting word from emergency management this morning saying that the Sullivan High School also has some damage. So we are tracking that. Mercedes McKay just got on the scene a few minutes ago, and we are going to keep you updated. But as you can see, people are already out before the sun rises.
I want to bring Anthony Slaughter in here real quick if he's got an opportunity. What time this morning did the storm move through Sullivan? That was a couple hours ago, wasn't it?
About 3, 4. It was, about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
About an hour and a half ago.
Now, judging by the damage here, can you tell anything at all?
I tell you what, that was the first thing I said to Gary. I go, this was no EF0. This was no weak tornado.
Okay.
So whatever hit was, this could have been EF1, maybe 2.
Well,
high end, but
and the number one thing is that's what they're going to do, right?
Yeah, they're
going to
go
go
assess.
survey this stuff. That's how tornadoes are rated. We won't get to see the wind. That's what the National Weather Service is going to look at structural damage.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at that, I mean, which
Pretty serious.
there's nothing left. You know what I mean? And this is why we say go indoors. This is why we say get to a basement, stay away from windows, because that is a prime example of why. And I mean, thankfully this wasn't a home. You know what I mean? Thankfully, the people weren't in the bar, and so there is one bright spot to this. But you know, That's why we get on air and stay on air when things like this happen.
It's about 3:45.
Yeah, 3:45. Because again, you see it on the radar and you think, oh no, and then when you see the damage, it confirms what you see on the radar.
We're looking at Facebook, we're looking at Twitter and all these places, and someone who posted the damage at this bar, said that they heard what sounded like a train, and we hear that so often when we talk about tornadoes, but they said it was a higher pitch for about 4 to 5 minutes, Anthony.
Yeah, and we watched it. I mean, we were on air, Gary and I watched this thing roll right over 185. We saw debris being lofted in the air, and so we knew that something was going on. We also have the storm, the leading edge of it, moving through Belleville right now. There's been some gusty wind on the leading edge of the storm. Nothing severe here per se, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to turn severe. That's that live look in Belleville right now near Main Street, and you can see the wind blowing around a little bit. The rain is let up in some spots there in Belleville. The leading edge now has pushed east of Belleville, so now St. Jacob, Fayetteville have the leading edge of that particular storm. But again, no tornado warnings right now. It's just straight line wind gusts that we're watching.
Things have calmed down quite a bit over there from the last time we were live with our Diamond Palmer. We're going to go to break right now. We'll be back with more storm coverage. Stay with us.
You can come out to me whenever. Got it.
This is Today in St. Louis, focused on you.
Good morning, everyone. We have team coverage all around the bi-state this morning. We are watching severe weather roll through our area this morning. The hardest that we've seen so far in terms of damage has been Sullivan.
Well, it's going to be coming up soon, so we'll probably be seeing some more. We do have team coverage, as Michelle said. Anthony Slaughter over there in the weather department, along with Gary Frank, with 2 meteorologists. And then we have our very own Diamond Palmer, who's in Belleville. And, of course, we have Mercedes McKay, who's down in Sullivan, Missouri. We begin with Mercedes, who's actually seen some damage at a local bar there. Mercedes?
Rennie, this damage is incredibly severe. Minutes ago, we got here in Sullivan, Missouri, and I'm going to step aside and you can see just the damage right here. This was previously known as Hilltop Lounge. That's how everyone in this area knows this bar as. It's now called One More Pub and Grub. And just take a look. You can completely see the inside. All of this building, all of the wood is completely destroyed here. And if we walk around over here, there have been people out here all morning long since we got here about 20 minutes ago surveying this damage. They did tell me that the owners do know about this damage at this point, and all the way clearly over here, this bar is completely destroyed. Now, some people that have been out here looking through this area, you can even see that little Budweiser sign. So there are still pieces of this bar that kind of made it, but again, completely destroyed. I was talking to people that were out here early this morning. This is a place everyone in this community comes to. They actually told me recently the woman here that ran the karaoke in this area recently passed away, and they had this whole shrine for her. So when I got here, they were actually searching for her urn and for pieces of the shrine that they made for her. That just shows what this bar means to this community and how many people come out here. The people I spoke to just minutes ago told me they come here every single weekend. This bar has been around for years and years. One of our Five on Your Side producers said that she grew up in this area and they all know of this bar. They know of it as Hilltop Lounge. Again, One More Pub and Grub. But just again, look at this damage. This is severe. We've been out all morning long. This is the most severe damage that we have seen. Again, the bar owners do know. There have been police out looking around at this damage. Community members are devastated. This is kind of an institution from what I can tell here in Sullivan, Missouri. I'm going to keep talking to everyone out here, get some updates from police, and we'll be back in a few minutes to let y'all know more. Rennie and Michelle.
All right, thanks, Mercedes. You know, I know you just got on the scene there, and of course, this is where our eyes are this morning in Sullivan. But we're also hearing that there was damage at the high school, also damage at Sappington Bridge Road and Hughes Ford Road in Sullivan as well. I know, like I said, you just got there, but have you heard if there's widespread damage across Sullivan?
Michelle, I have not heard about that yet. I did hear a little bit about the high school, but everyone just said they were focused on this bar. When they woke up to the tornado sirens this morning, they said this bar is the first place they went to. But that's a great question. Once we get off with y'all this morning, I will go ask these residents if they've heard anything about the high school. I do know the high school is really close by. We do know that. So we'll check back with y'all in a few minutes, Michelle, and give you some updates about what I learned.
All right, thanks so much, Mercedes. Wow.
You know, Anthony saw that video and said it was frightening to see the way that bar was destroyed like that. And we'll find out if the high school was indeed hit as well by this storm. Let's now go over to the Metro East. That's where our Diamond Palmer is standing by live for us in Belleville. And Diamond, the last time we saw you, you were about to get blown away by the wind and the rain, but it seems like things are a bit calmer now.
That's right. This morning, a completely different scene than we saw less than 30 minutes ago when we saw heavy rain, thunder, and even lightning. So I'm going to step out of the way so you can see the scene currently now. A lot calmer here in downtown Belleville. Still, you can see water kind of puddling along the roadway. We've seen police come through this area almost about 4 or 5 times here, just making sure that nobody is outside during the severe weather that we are having. And we're actually just blocks away from the St. Clair County emergency sirens. So of course, if you do start to hear those sirens go off, you need to seek shelter immediately. So where I'm standing right now in Belleville is only about 16 miles from our downtown station in St. Louis. And St. Clair County has a large population of over 250,000 people. So let's break down how you can protect yourself if severe weather hits during nighttime. So you should prepare to get in a safe place immediately by staying away from windows and in the most interior rooms. Now, in case power goes out, you should have a weather radio turned on and listening to it at all times with your cell phone charged and turned on in case power goes out. Lastly, you want to make sure you are wearing closed-toed shoes and have a flashlight in the event that you need to run. So St. Clair County Emergency Management is urging people to sign up for alerts. As you can see here on your screen, you can sign up for their code RED for emergency alerts today. You can receive those at this moment as soon as you sign up for them by going directly to www.alerts stclair.com. Of course, again, a completely different scene here this morning, just compared to 30 minutes ago here in downtown Belleville. Of course, it's still raining lightly here in Belleville, but the wind has picked up over the last 30 minutes as well. Again, I've gotten rid of that umbrella, but we are starting to, we're going to continue to monitor this severe weather here in the Metro East. Reporting live here in Belleville, Diamond Palmer, 5 on your side.
All right, thanks for that update, Diamond. Yeah, as you mentioned, the heaviest of the rain has moved on. The severe weather risk in Belleville, that's gone. We're not looking at any more severe weather for that particular location. But yes, heavy rain still in place. You look at this radar, and you can certainly pick out where the heaviest rain is. It's this leading edge, and that's where you always have the strongest storms. In fact, we've had severe thunderstorm warnings right along that leading edge, but no more tornado warnings. We are done with that, and it looks like the worst of the area that got hit was in the Sullivan area. And of course, we have crews working to find out more near Creve Coeur, Maryland Heights even, where we did have some strong winds reported there. So the current severe thunderstorm warnings we have still in place, and this is at least for another 3 minutes, and this is from Macoupin and Montgomery County, and that is until 5:45 on the Illinois side, including Verdon and just north of you in Carlinville. Straight line wind, that's the main risk here. Down in Sparta, Randolph County, you've got the severe thunderstorm warning here until 6:15 this morning, and then also our final county here, this is Perryville, Perry County, until 6 o'clock this morning. And again, all of those counties I just listed off, all those towns, the risk now is straight line wind damage. And of course, you know, we know tornadoes do damage, but a lot of times the straight line winds, we kind of think, oh, not a big deal. But we're also finding out there are some power outages as well. So our news team is standing by with updates on that. So you still have heavy rain for St. Louis Metro, a few rumbles of thunder, but the worst of it now in Highland, Greenville, Illinois, stretching down towards just west of Carlisle and Nashville. But heads up, you are about to get hit with this as well. And then you can see west of St. Louis, this tornado watch box will probably be expired. And now our attention is turning towards the Metro East. But as mentioned, I do think this is just straight line wind, but nonetheless, straight line wind can be deadly and damaging as well. So make sure you stay away from the windows and make sure you're just in your safe place this morning. I mean, if you have a basement that you can comfortably watch TV in, I'd say just stay there at least for the next hour until things do pass over completely, because even again, straight line winds can bring down trees, bring down power lines and things like that. By lunchtime, we'll be dry at 80 degrees. This afternoon, 84 is where we're headed. We'll see some sunshine today, but our next round of storms are on the way tomorrow. And in fact, I think this is just a good practice round for what's to come tomorrow. We have a higher risk tomorrow compared to what we had today. We had a low risk today, and you see what happened. And so tomorrow's risk is enhanced, level 3. And we're in the bullseye for that. So in the afternoon, thunderstorms will pop up. Large hail will be the risk tomorrow, and tornadoes, unlike what we had today, where it was mainly wind and tornadoes. So hail gets thrown in there for tomorrow, and the storm threat is in the afternoon. That should clear away by 11 o'clock tomorrow. But you see what I'm talking about when you look at this map. I mean, we're in the thick of it for tomorrow. This morning we had a level 1 and 2. Tomorrow we have a level 3, and you can see as we put the futurecast into motion for today, those storms do move away from us. There may be some more redevelopment in the afternoon towards Effingham and Flora, Mount Vernon, but I don't think you'll have the severe weather there. And then the rest of the day for most of us is dry until we get into tomorrow afternoon. So the first round is moving on. We'll continue to have rain through the morning, but the severe weather risk continues to diminish here really between now and the next couple of hours. Illinois side, you still do have a risk until 8 o'clock this morning. 83 tomorrow, and even today, 84. It's going to be warm both days. We cool down a little bit into the weekend. By Thursday and Friday, we're back into the 70s. Saturday and Sunday, a chance of some spotty showers, but nothing severe. And we stay warm with highs climbing right back up near 80 degrees for much of next week. All right, that's your 10-day forecast. Let's get over to Paul now and get an update on our roadways. See a crash on 70. What's happening?
Yes, this one happened about 20 minutes ago, Anthony, in St. Peter's. It's not the only one, though, but I wanted to show you a few things that are informative on this picture here. You can see how the camera is showing water. You are definitely raining still in that area, and heavier volume going the other way. This is 70 eastbound, Cave Springs near 370. It's important going the opposite way, where you do see the accident blocking the right lane and the outer road shoulder because of St. Peter's Barnes Jewish Hospital right there. Also Fort Zumwalt east. So those are areas people usually are going at this time of the morning, and you have an accident there. So important to try the alternate route here of 94 to 364. That would be your solution. It's not your only accident, though, as we move closer into downtown. Possibly wind affecting this one here, 70 eastbound Jennings Station Road. And we've been talking a lot about Sullivan. What about St. Clair? You have an accident 44 at 50 now. We'll keep an eye on it all with another take of traffic minutes away.
All right, thank you, Paul. Remember, anytime you want your weather, you can get it on 5 Plus, the app. You can also text the word weather to 314-425-5355, and we will send a link straight to your phone.
All right, in the meantime, we're taking a live look from Sullivan, Missouri this morning. And as you can see, major damage that we are talking about. Mercedes McKay has been on the scene all morning long. She's going to tell us what she's learned from the people on the scene after this.
Moving in silent desperation, keeping an eye on the Holy Land, a hypothetical destination. Say, who is this walking man? Well, the leaves have come to turn in, and the goose has gone to fly, and bridges are for burning, so don't you let that yearning pass you by. Walking man, the walking man walks, well, any other man stops and talks, but the walking man walks. Frost is on the pumpkin, and the hay is in the barn, yeah. And Pappy's come to rambling on, stumbling around, drunk down on the farm. And the walking man walks, he doesn't know nothing at all. Any other man stops and talks, but the walking man walks on by, walk on by. Most everybody got seed to sow. It ain't always easy for
Welcome back to the day in St. Louis. We are in storm alert this morning. This is a live look at Sullivan, Missouri, where you could see the damage that was done earlier this morning. We believe that this was some tornado activity that hit this bar here, a bar where a lot of folks in the area frequent it. You can see people on the scene right now just kind of assessing the damage. I believe in the back there, you can actually see the back of the bar. So this place was totally obliterated, as you can see. Yeah, bottles of alcohol sitting on the bar shelves, which in many ways, Anthony, is strange, because you would think that if a tornado moved through there, everything would be gone. Yeah. But at the same time, you notice that that's the way a tornado moves. It kind of hops around. Mm-hmm. And what's frightening about all this is that today, you're saying, is kind of like a precursor to tomorrow.
Yeah, in fact, we had a low risk today, and tomorrow the risk is higher. And so that's really concerning when you look at what happened, especially when you're talking middle of the night. Usually you don't get big, bad storms in the middle of the night. The severe weather ingredients, though, were in place. We had a lot of energy in the atmosphere, and it rolled on through. And yeah, you saw what the damage looked like there in Sullivan. And we're continuing to hear of other reports of things like power outages, even in the metro. As we go through the next few minutes, we'll give you updates on those things. So the leading edge now is moving out towards the central central Illinois, southern Illinois corridor, and still down in Perryville. So we'll go through our watches and warnings. The tornado watch for the Illinois side is until 8 o'clock, but there's no more warnings here near Carlinville or Verdon. Same for Litchfield, but this is certainly some heavy rain that's moving through in that location. You still do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Sparta. That's in Randolph County. And then also, as mentioned, down in Perryville, severe thunderstorm warning there. Looks like perhaps, well, it looks like it just expired as I was talking. So the severe weather risk, again, diminishing as we speak, but we still do have the rain in St. Louis and now starting to taper off for areas west. So as we go through the next couple of hours, we will start to dry on out. Temperatures will be very steamy today. We're headed back into the mid-80s for highs this afternoon. All right, we are going to continue our storm alert coverage after this break. Stay with us.
That part's all gonna start.
Right. It is absolutely insane. Wow.
I met my old lover on the street last night. She seemed so glad to see me. I just smiled, and we talked about some old times, and we drank ourselves some beers. Still crazy after all these years. Oh, still crazy after all these years. I'm not the kind of man who tends to socialize. I seem to lean on old familiar ways, and I ain't no fool for love songs that whisper in my ears. Still crazy after all these years. Oh, still crazy after all these years. 4 in the morning, crapped out, yawning, longing my life away. I never
Welcome back to the day in St. Louis. We are in storm alert this morning, and one of the most heartbreaking areas that we have seen so far this morning from the storm damage is down in Sullivan, Missouri.
Yeah, not only, obviously, we're going to hit Mercedes McKay in just a second, but we know that the high school may have received some damage, also some other places as well. Mercedes, what are you seeing?
Rennie and Michelle, well, 15 minutes ago, Michelle, I know that you did ask me about that high school damage. I did talk to some residents, and they said there is some damage, some trees down. There is another street not far from where we are, where a tree is down, but where we are right now is where the most significant damage is. And I'm joined now by the bar owner here, and thank you so much for joining us. You've owned this bar for 10 years now, right?
Correct.
Talk to me just about how you heard what happened this morning.
Well, I had just woken up from the sirens going off, and I was standing and they stopped going, and my neighbor, who's an EMT, he called me and he said, "Jane, it's either the building or the house." But he had just heard that it was destroyed. So I woke my husband up, and we headed here, and luckily I had already talked to one of our renters, and he was okay, but it was, I'm shocked.
I mean, last question for you before we only have a couple seconds. Talk about the community that has already come out to support you guys.
Yes, I've been getting Facebook messages, text messages saying they have our support. Very sorry to hear about it. Biggest thing is no one was hurt.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing. And this bar, from what I've learned, is an institution here. So I know the community will be around you. Thank you so much. And we're so sorry to see this. This is just devastating, but you have a ton of support. Rennie, Michelle, I'll send it back to you guys. We'll be out here all morning long.
All right, thank you, Mercedes. Just simply heartbreaking.
All right, Paul, let's get over to you because I know that you're keeping an eye on some incidents out on the road right now.
Yes, we've had a couple of them out there. The one that we were just talking about in St. Peter's, 70 at Cave Springs, gone. That one has been moved aside. So good news there near the hospital and the high school that was there, Fort Zumwalt East. This is downtown or on your approach to downtown, 70 as you'll be moving into downtown at Jennings Station Road. And you can see we are blocked. 2 lanes there. That's involving 2 vehicles. And it's a pretty new accident, I'd say, in the last 13, 14 minutes here that you are going to be dealing with here for quite a bit. Looks like a few emergency crews on scene and the alternate route. They aren't great nearby. If you're looking at a highway, try 6440. That one's moving well, but there is rain and you can see this is not a great scenario right now. We'll keep an eye on it. Ponding water out there, awareness, visibility, all things to consider this morning. We'll have another take of traffic minutes away.
All right, thank you, Paul. We have you covered throughout the morning. We are live in Missouri as well as in Illinois.
We'll be back with our team coverage after this.
Thank you, baby. I just wanna stop and thank you, baby. Oh, yes. How sweet it is to be loved by you. It's just like sugar sometimes. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Whoa, yeah. You were better to me than I was to myself. For me, there's you, and there ain't nobody else. I wanna stop. Thank you, baby. I just wanna stop. And thank you, baby. Oh, yes. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Oh, now, how sweet it is to be loved by you. It's like jelly, baby. Oh, down. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Just like honey to the bee, baby. Yeah, now. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. I've been on this road for 7 days. I'm so beat, my vision's just.
This morning, we're tracking severe thunderstorms rolling through the area right now. We'll time out when another round of storms are possible, plus an update on a possible tornado this morning.
We're live in Sullivan, Missouri, where there is severe damage here. A bar completely destroyed from these overnight storms. Hear from bar owners and residents in just a couple minutes.
Rain and strong winds in the Metro East. Coming up, I'll tell you the best places to stay safe.
This is Today in St. Louis, focused on you.
As we come on the air this morning, we are in storm alert for a possible tornado that may have hit in our area. Oh, here's a couple of looks at the live pictures here. This is from the bar in Sullivan. One side you can see the static shot, and on the other, a closer assessment of the damage that was done. This may have happened sometime after 3 a.m. this morning, just before 4 o'clock. It is Tuesday, May the 7th, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Today in St. Louis. I'm Renee Knott.
And I'm Michelle Lee. We do want to say thanks for joining us because it has been a very busy morning. A lot of you might be watching us from your phone this morning as we are covering these storms. Paul Cook has got his eye on problem areas on our roads and highways. Anthony Slaughter has been tracking the severe weather for hours now. Diamond Palmer is in the Metro East with the best ways to protect yourself, your family, and your home this morning.
But we begin with our Mercedes McKay. She is live for us in Sullivan. And Mercedes, you have been able to get not just a close-up look at this damage, but also talk to the people, and they are emotional.
Rennie and Michelle, it's been an incredibly emotional morning here in Sullivan, Missouri. We got here just a little before 5 a.m. this morning, and take a look behind me at this damage. This is a bar previously known as Hilltop Lounge. Now it's known as One More Pub and Grub. And the crazy thing about it, we've been talking about it all morning. I think my photographer's zooming in. The alcohol bottles, those alcohol, it's still sitting up. So it's something that Anthony and Rennie discussed, just how these storms work and how most of this bar is completely destroyed, yet that is still standing. If we pan, you can see just how much damage that this place does have, and we have heard from the city that this is the most severe damage in Sullivan, Missouri. There is some minor damage at the high school, some trees down on other streets, but this is the most damage. Now, as you guys mentioned, I have been able to talk to a lot of people. People were here even before we got here at 5 a.m. That's how much this bar means to this community. Just minutes ago, right before we came on the air at 6, I was able to speak with the bar owner. They've owned this bar for 10 years now, and she talked about the community support. It is going to be a lot. It's going to be hard for them. They mentioned maybe even a GoFundMe, so we'll obviously keep up with them. But this is the other side of the bar as well. You guys, you can just see it's like the storm just decided to pick this spot and go with it here in Sullivan, Missouri. The damage is just incredible, and this community is really rallying around this bar. I also spoke with some residents who were here early this morning who said that they were actually looking for, they had made this shrine for the woman who ran the karaoke bar here. She died about a year ago. They made a shrine for her here. When we walked up, there were people in the damage, in the house, Rennie and Michelle, trying to get those pieces of that person that meant so much to them. That's how much this bar means to this community. We will be here all morning long. We will have an interview with the city coming up just moments from now, but I'm going to toss it over to my colleague, Diamond Palmer. Diamond, what are you seeing?
Well, Mercedes, I am live here in downtown Belleville, and less than an hour ago, we saw heavy rain and wind downtown Belleville. Now a completely different scene. As I step out of the way, you can see the rain has lightened up a little bit. We're still starting to see lightning and kind of hearing these rumbles of thunder every now and then again. We've seen police come through downtown Belleville near Main Street quite often, just making sure that nobody is out on these roads here. As you can see, water is kind of collecting along the roadway, so you want to be courteous and cautious of that this morning. So right now where we're standing in Belleville is only about 16 miles east of our downtown St. Louis station, and St. Clair County has just over 250,000 people in it, and we're not standing too far from where the emergency sirens are. So let's break down how you can protect yourself and your family right now. So the National Weather Service says the worst options for finding shelters during severe weather and tornadoes are mobile homes, cars, and large open rooms. Better options include interior rooms of a home or an office building, and of course a basement. So before severe weather strikes, it's best to sign up for notifications through the National Weather Service and St. Clair Emergency Management. Now, again, bringing you back here to the live scene in Belleville. We have reached out to the St. Clair County Emergency Management officials. We are waiting to hear back just how they're preparing for this morning and heading through the rest of the day when it comes to this severe weather. We've been tracking Ameren outages here in the Metro East as well. Less than an hour ago, it was only 199 people without power. At this moment, it is 274 people here in the Metro East without power. So that number is certainly going up as we see this rain start to pick up here in this area. Reporting live here in Belleville, Diamond Palmer, 5 on your side.
All right, let's talk about this weather forecast this morning. We've been watching these storms roll out of Kansas since yesterday evening and now beginning to move out of the Missouri side of the river, pushing off towards the Illinois side. I will say this, the severe weather risk has diminished greatly. We don't have a tornado watch for the Missouri side of the river anymore. That's been allowed to expire, but we still do have that piece of our Illinois communities here where we have a tornado watch. That means conditions could still turn favorable for tornadic development. But right now there are no warnings. It's just plain old rain, but it's heavy rain and plenty of lightning and thunder. The leading edge, that's where you could have these little spin-ups, again, right around the front end of the storms from Ramsey up that 51 corridor down towards Vandalia as well. And then a little farther south from Carlisle to Nashville, you can see, again, that leading edge is where you have the strongest storms, maybe some small hail embedded in there and maybe a quick wind gust. But right now, no severe weather warnings for that part of our viewing area, even down south, Perryville, where you did have a severe thunderstorm warning a few minutes ago, that has been allowed to expire. So you see, again, the leading edge of it is where you have the strongest rain, the strongest wind, lots of lightning and thunder, but then you go behind it and you can see how it's just plain old rain. In fact, St. Louis Metro, some of our neighborhoods are starting to dry out from South County back towards parts of Sunset Hills, and then you go into St. Charles County and Warren County, Franklin. You can see how a lot of those locations, even down near Sullivan, where you did have that reported tornado, things there have dried on out for now. So we're starting to see things taper off. We go into the afternoon with temperatures very warm today. It will be steamy. We'll be up near 84 degrees later today. There's one more round of strong storms on the way. That happens tomorrow. Details on that coming up. Let's get over to Paul. It has been an active morning, not only in the weather, but also in the traffic. Crash after crash. What's going on?
Yeah, the two usually go together here, Anthony, and we have two serious accidents out there. We also have solutions around both of those, and I want to make sure you know about this one. 70 Jennings Station Road. It's a truck on its side that has spun out. We also put the speed up there, 10 miles an hour. I'm surprised the road's not shut down. One lane getting by here on your approach to downtown, 70 at Jennings Station Road, and you can see going both directions here, we are delayed. Natural Bridge, that's the solution around this one. And I think, yeah, we have a picture on this one here. Let me show you here. 270 southbound at Ladue. Important here because this is where a lot of construction is. 270 northbound at 6440. I always talk about 270, most heavily traveled highway in all of Missouri. We have an accident there now, and just the left lane is getting by. 270 southbound at Ladue. The way to get around that is 141 or Lindbergh, but we are starting to see more volume in that area. That's Creve Coeur. Be careful. Don't go in either of those directions. We'll have another Take of Traffic coming up soon, guys.
Thank you, Paul. For continuing weather coverage when we are off the air, or if you have to move away from your TV to safety, download the 5 on Your Side app. It is free to download on your phone's app store. Just search KSDK.
All right, and as we head to break, we are taking a live look at the radar this morning. We're also looking at your school bus forecast, and we are taking a live look from Sullivan, Missouri. We've got a lot to talk about in terms of damage. This is the Hilltop Bar. It's actually one more bar now, but a lot of people know that as the Hilltop Bar. You can see lots of insulation, lots of lumber there as well. The emergency management director said so far it appears no reported injuries. So that is the positive news, but again, lots of damage. We'll have the latest after the break.
She's a black magic woman. She's trying to make a devil out of me. Don't turn your back on me, baby. Don't turn your back on me, baby. Yes, don't turn your back on me, baby. Stop messing around with your tricks. Don't turn your back on me, baby. You just might pick up my magic sticks.
Few minutes, but I'll just.
All right, welcome back. It has been a busy overnight period here across the bi-state. Storm alert coverage continues. We have been tracking thunderstorms, even tornadoes overnight. The last 24 hours, the storm reports show a lot of the tornadoes happened across Kansas and Oklahoma, but there's that one that has already made its way to the Storm Prediction Center, and yes, already on their map. And that happened early this morning around 3:45. Yeah, put all the rest of the storm reports on, and I mean, my goodness, you talk about wind and hail all across the Kansas area, Iowa, and Oklahoma yesterday. It was a very busy day for the folks there, and then those storms rolled our direction, and they really held together overnight. So west of St. Louis, you're clear. You can see how things are drying out. That includes you in Sullivan. But then you go from St. Louis areas east, and this is the leading edge, the line that still has the potential of producing a quick little spin-up tornado. So even though it's moving away, we're not completely in the clear when it comes to the 5 in your side viewing area. From Ramsey to Vandalia, you have the heavy rain. And as mentioned, it's that leading edge. You see the purple underneath. Those are the counties highlighted for the tornado watch. So conditions are still favorable until 8 o'clock on the Illinois side of the river. But then it's just plain old rain for you now in Belleville, New Athens, Sparta, Chester, Perryville. But it's that leading edge, Nashville, DuQuoin, Carbondale, where you are about to get hit pretty hard. Again, that's heavy rain, a little bit of small hail embedded in there, and maybe some gusty winds that top 50 miles per hour. But right now, there are no severe weather warnings in our area. All of them have been allowed to expire and have been canceled. So you just have plain old rain, but in some spots, like again, Illinois side, it's coming down pretty good. Things are starting to taper off here on the Missouri side. O'Fallon, Missouri, you're drying out. Chesterfield, same deal. Arnold, a few lingering showers. And part of St. Louis, you still have some light rain, the heaviest now up in the North County over the Lewis and Clark Bridge into Alton. So as we look at the big picture, you can actually see, again, the rain moving away from St. Louis. The purple, that's your tornado watch box that's posted until 8 o'clock. So until now and then, that conditions could still spin up a quick tornado. So we go through the morning with the showers with us. Those should wrap up here within the next hour in St. Louis, and then as mentioned, closer to 8 o'clock on the Illinois side. By lunchtime, we're near 80 this afternoon. Some sunshine, warm, steamy today, and humid, 84 degrees for the high. Our next round of storms are on the table for tomorrow. In fact, in the afternoon, another storm alert for Wednesday. This time, we could have large hail, the main risk for tomorrow, and tornadoes. In fact, we are outlooked with a level 3. That's a higher level than we had today, which is a little concerning. So if you haven't made those severe weather safety plans, you haven't thought about it much, where to go in the event of a tornado, today is a perfect practice round to get ready for what's to come tomorrow. So we still have that storm alert in place for tomorrow. Afternoon storms are likely. We go into Thursday and Friday with dry weather, temperatures cooling back into the 70s, which is where we should be this time of year. The weekend, making plans to celebrate mom, we could have some showers around, especially on Saturday. Light showers. It doesn't look like severe weather this go round. And then we go into next week. Temperatures still warm for this time of year. We should be in the 70s. We'll be right about 80 degrees. And it's this 80-degree weather that's fuel for these thunderstorms. So again, next 24 to 48 hours, make sure you are still on guard for changing weather conditions. All right, let's get over to Paul. I'll get an update on our roadways. We've had several crashes. It seems like every time we come to you, there's a new one.
Yeah, so looking forward to that heat this afternoon because that means we're past this commute. This morning commute could be really slow for you here. And yes, it's good to hear about the storms kind of moving on and not being as bad right now. But the accidents are. We do have this one here, 70 at Jennings Station Road. You can see this car was into the median and involved with another car here on your approach to downtown. Natural Bridge is the way around it. Now, we have real-time sensors in the road, and that's why you're seeing red here, because we're almost closed, and many times I keep thinking that's going to happen because there are 2 lanes blocked, but we're just about 10 miles an hour. Again, Natural Bridge, because you don't want to be on 70 right there. Take your alternate round, and if you need to, try to get to 6440. That roadway's still doing well. 270 southbound at Ladue, also another one where you do have construction here, another overturned vehicle. We'll have another ticket traffic coming your way very soon.
All right, thanks so much, Paul. You know, all morning we've been asking you that if you can do it safely, to share what weather looks like near you. This came in through our text line, and you can see this is from St. Charles, and in just a second here you're going to see lots of lightning. There you have it right there. We've seen a lot of lightning this morning as well. So let me see if I can get any more to come through. Looks like there we go. Oh, and from Kaylee actually said her pet woke her up this morning before the tornado warning went off. But yes, lots of sheets of rain. We've been seeing people get hammered this morning with just a ton of rain coming down as well. So if you can text any pictures or video to us safely and give us a little information, please do so. That number is 314-425-5355.
One of the most heavily damaged areas so far is Sullivan, Missouri. That is where our Mercedes McKay has been this morning, giving us an idea of the damage down there. She's standing by live now with an interview with Sullivan City Administrator JT Hardy. What are you learning from JT? Mercedes?
Good morning, Reddy. We've been here about since a little before 5 a.m., so we've been here over an hour now. Like you said, I'm joined with JT Hardy, City Administrator of Sullivan. He tells me this is the most damage where we are now, but just talk to me about what you've seen this morning.
Well, other than the obvious damage behind us, we do have a high school over here that sustained a little bit of damage. We've had some major road blockages with trees falling over, blocking the roads. We've got our city crews out to clear those. The electric department had some issues with some limbs on power lines, which caused some transformers to blow, power outages across the city, but we've restored those. Other than that, right now we're looking at the ditches that are being flooded and just trying to maintain what we have and restore it.
We've been out here at what was known as the Hilltop Lounge all morning long, now One More Pub and Grub, but we have heard the things about the high school. What does the high school look like if parents are watching that they take their kids there? Should they be worried? Will school still be happening?
No, as far as I know, everything's fine. There's just a walkway that had an awning on the top of it that some of the metal blew off the top, and then we also had a report of a natural gas or propane leak at the high school, but that's been fixed as well as far as I know. I don't think it's going to obstruct anything to do with school today.
I know it's been a long morning for you guys. It's just beginning. What's the next step for your team?
Well, as I said, we need to assess the damage. We need to make sure that everything's stable and safe, and then we'll go to the next phase, which is restoration, power restoration, clearing the roads, which we've already done, and making sure that there's any more storms coming our way, that anything that has been damaged is secured.
And last question for you, JT. We spoke earlier. You've been doing this for 13 years now. You told me that's a while. Is this the most severe damage you've seen in this role? It's not.
No. We had our airport was damaged about 11 years ago, and then last year in April we actually had a storm come through, and our Parks and Recreation building was damaged along with several other buildings as well. So this is not anything new for us. It's straight winds or tornadic activity. So.
Well, this isn't JT's first rodeo, as we can tell. Thank you so much for joining us, JT. We'll be out here live all morning long, Rennie and Michelle. When I come back to you guys, we'll actually have an interview with the bar owner here. The community has just really rallied around this place this morning. Live in Sullivan, Mercedes McKay, 5 on your side.
All right, and as we take another look at Belleville this morning, we are all over the bi-state this morning. We've seen lots of rain, lots of lightning, big time wind as well. We're going to have the latest developments coming up after the break.
We've come a long way, a small price to pay to be together under. Yes, the same kind of story that seems to come down from long ago. Two friends having coffee together when something flies by their window. It might be out on that lawn, which is wide, at least half of a playing field. Because there's no explaining what your imagination can make you see and feel. Somebody needs nothing, you'll get hypnotized. Now it's not a meaningless question to ask if they've been and gone. I remember a talk about North Carolina in a strange, strange poem. You see, the sides were like glass in the thick of a forest without a road. And if any man's hand ever made that land, then I think it would have showed. And that's why.
All right, welcome back. About 6:23 here this morning, and if you're just waking up and joining us, I tell you missed a night of wild storms here across the bi-state. We did have one report of a tornado, and that came out of Sullivan, you see here on the map. And all the rest of the storm reports, wind and hail, seem to stay away from St. Louis overnight. But it is that one tornado that we found this morning that has produced quite a bit of damage in the Sullivan area, one bar in particular. We will, of course, hear from our Mercedes McKay, who's been live on the scene this morning with an update from the bar owner coming up next. So this line of storms is still moving east of St. Louis. You still have just a little bit of rain left in the metro, but things are drying out for the Missouri side. The severe weather risk has went away for the Missouri side of the river, but it's Illinois now, the leading edge, where you still could have some spin ups here from that 51 corridor from Ramsey to Vandalia down through Salem, Illinois, approaching you in Mount Vernon as well, DuQuoin and Carbondale. So it's again that front edge of storms working through. You'll have some lightning, you'll have some wind gusts that could top 50 to 60 miles per hour. In fact, at Lambert, we did have a wind gust of 54 miles per hour as the storms rolled through earlier this morning. But you see how St. Louis is dried out. Alton, you still have some rain up in Jerseyville, but that's it. Once that passes by, even Belleville, you'll be done with the showery activity. So the purple you see on the map, that's the tornado watch that's underneath the rain, and that goes until 8 o'clock this morning. So conditions are still slightly favorable. But I tell you, the leading edge of storms is pushing away from St. Louis, and compared to what the models looked like yesterday, this was supposed to fall apart completely. And it's still held together. So that just gives you an idea of the amount of energy that's in our atmosphere now that we have went from, well, the frost and freeze earlier in April to now just jumping right into these steamy temperatures, the humidity, and the thunderstorm action. 65 at Lambert this morning, light rain still being reported. It's that dew point, 61. Oh my gosh. And that dew point this time of year, whenever it gets this high, that's fuel for these thunderstorms to develop. And so we have another round possible as we head towards tomorrow afternoon and evening. So this morning, the showers will wrap up. We'll go to lunchtime with cloudy skies, 80, and then 84 for the high today. It is going to be steamy once again and a little humid as well. Yes, more fuel for thunderstorm development. Our next round of severe weather moves in tomorrow. We have a level 3 here when it comes from the Storm Prediction Center for most all of our area, and that's tomorrow afternoon and evening. The one thing we'll have tomorrow that we did not have much of today is large hail. There has been talk of 2-inch hail or larger with these storms coming our way tomorrow, and even tornadoes. So here's the futurecast starting off in the morning. We go to lunchtime. As soon as 1 o'clock, we could have storms around tomorrow, and they'll just continue to pop up with the heating of the day through 3, 4, 5 o'clock. The storm threat tomorrow should diminish around 11 in the evening, but you see how we get through 7 o'clock, and we will still have storms on the radar tomorrow in the afternoon and evening. So make sure, if you haven't had storms today, that you're ready to go for tomorrow, because the risk is slightly higher. So we're at 84 today, 83 tomorrow. Once the storms clear tomorrow night, Thursday and Friday will be comfortable days in the 70s. Mother's Day on Sunday, we could have a spotty shower around, but not a complete washout this weekend. Temperatures all in all stay warm above average through the next 7 to 10 days. Drive times, what's happening out there right now?
Indeed we are. If you use I-70, your schedule will be affected this morning. Some travel times here and no less than 3 accidents along 70. The big one here is right in the center. You can see when it's red on our travel times, you're going to see red. That means very slow. And look at this average, 19 miles an hour. So that would be 270 to 170. Along 70, we have some accidents, and now we haven't said the word much this morning, and you're going to be hearing it a lot. Debris. We've got debris out there, and that could bog you down. Look at this, 9 miles an hour on 70 at Jennings Station Road, and then even a little further back at Lucas and Hunt, you have debris. Also wanted to check travel times if you're coming from SoCo, South County, anywhere on up into downtown. Great speeds right now on 55, 270, and 44. Another take of traffic coming up soon, guys.
Thank you, Paul. When we're not on the air, you can always find the latest forecast and our interactive radar on the 5 on Your Side app. It is free on your phone's app store. Just search KSDK.
Okay, let's lighten things up a little bit because we do have a pet for adoption today.
My goodness.
Oh my gosh, this little puppy comes from Yuppie Puppies Forever. This is Dahlia, and if you were watching last week, we actually met her brother Bud. So Bud and Dahlia are still up for adoption. Now, I heard that Dahlia slept through her crate last night really well, and she is so cute. She gives you puppy kisses and little puppy nibbles too. If you are interested in adopting Dahlia, you can call the number on your screen, 636-625-0030. Oh my gosh. Instant boost. Instant
She's gorgeous.
boost.
I know Anthony was in love with Bud, so we'll see what happens there too. Now it is time for Sammy Stars, and this is a dog that is after my heart. You see, Duke just loves happy hour. You the man, Duke. You know what's going on. He's hanging out at the Golden Hoosiers patio, by the way. If you would like to see your pet right here on TV, just tweet us a picture and some information using that hashtag Sammy's Stars.
All right, and we are continuing our storm coverage this morning. Massive damage in Sullivan. We are going to bring you the very latest all across the bi-state coming up.
Strong storms continue to work away from St. Louis this morning, but our next round of stormy weather all ready for tomorrow. We'll detail the timing of the next round of storms to come.
A bar completely destroyed here in Sullivan, Missouri. We're live with how the owner, city administrator, and residents are reacting and how it'll affect school this morning.
Severe weather has swept through the Metro East, and coming up, I'll tell you just how many people are without power.
This is Today in St. Louis, focused on you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Michelle Lee.
Good morning, I'm Randy now. We've got a lot to get to this morning. Paul Cook, of course, eyes on traffic. Already some problems out there thanks to the weather. Anthony, of course, tracking the storm. We've got Diamond Palmer, who's over on the Metro East, taking an eye at all of the power outages on that side.
Yeah, but let's start with Sullivan, Missouri this morning, where Mercedes McKay is. Mercedes, what can you tell us? I know so much damage is now being able to be seen because of the sunrise.
Good morning, Michelle and Rennie. We've been here for about an hour and a half now at this point in Sullivan, Missouri, and daylight is really showing the damage here. I want to tell you new information I just got minutes ago. We did see a post on Facebook from Sullivan High School just asking people to take caution. We have heard of some damage over there, but it sounds like that high school and school is still going to happen. But if you are getting your kid ready for high school and you have to travel on Highway 185 in Sullivan, make sure you are remaining cautious. I'm going to step aside so you can see the severity of this damage here in Sullivan, Missouri. This was known as the Hilltop Lounge Bar. That's how many residents know it as. It's now known as One More Pub and Grub, but this is an institution in this area. We've been out here all morning long. You can see the insulation, all the lumber on the ground. This bar is completely destroyed. Residents have been out here even earlier than we have. They've been out here for hours now because this bar means so much to this community. I did speak with the city administrator just about 15 minutes ago. Luckily, this is, there's no damage here in Sullivan in terms of injuries to people, but this is the most severe damage here. I mentioned the high school has some. There is some downed trees in the area, but this bar in Sullivan has the most damage. It looks like the storm just decided to pick this spot and stay here. And about an hour ago, I was able to speak with the bar owner. Listen to what she had to say.
Well, I had just woken up from the sirens going off, and I was standing and they stopped going, and my neighbor, who's an EMT, he called me and he said, "Jane, it's either the building or the house." But he had just heard that it was destroyed. So I woke my husband up, and we headed here, and luckily I had already talked to one of our renters, and he was okay, but I'm shocked.
Just heartbreaking. The whole community here is just really mourning this place. People tell me they come here every single weekend. A 5 on Your Side producer said this morning that this place has been around forever in Sullivan, Missouri. This is an institution here. And actually just, seconds ago, the city administrator came up to me because he wanted to show me that across the street here, if we turn around, this is how much the damage went over this highway on 185. There is damage clearly on the other side here. And there's even pieces of the building, I don't know if we can zoom into the right there, on a tree across this highway. So this damage here in Sullivan is severe. Again, I want to reiterate, no injuries, but this bar is completely destroyed here. There is some damage at Sullivan High School, but we do know that it is only minor and school will continue. We will be out here all morning long in Sullivan as this community continues to pick up the pieces here. I'm going to send it over to my colleague, Diamond Palmer. Diamond, what are you seeing this morning?
Well, Mercedes, we are live downtown Belleville, and 2 hours ago is when we saw that widespread heavy rain, thunder, and even lightning. And where I'm standing is only just about a block, actually, from where the St. Clair County emergency sirens are. And although we didn't hear those sirens go off, now people in the Metro East are dealing with power outages. So where we're standing right now, we're going to pull up a map for you, is only about 16 miles east of our downtown St. Louis station. And St. Clair County has about 250,000 people that live here. So like I said, let's break down these power outages this morning for you. So here in the Metro East, first, there are about 298 customers without power, which has increased since we checked that less than about 30 minutes ago. And areas without power include East St. Louis, Caseyville, Collinsville, and Maryville. Hopping over to Missouri, those power outages include 1,913 people without electricity. Also an increase than when I checked 30 minutes ago. So those areas include Tower Grove South, St. Louis County, including near Baldwin, Jennings, and Sunset Hills. Of course, those power outages extend past St. Louis County, and we are monitoring those, some of those including St. Charles County. But this morning, just a few minutes ago, I reached out to Ameren to see how many crews they have on standby today. Obviously, it's going to be a busy day for them, cleaning up, monitoring if there's any down power lines, and of course, restoring people's power this morning. Reporting live here in Belleville, Diamond Palmer, 5 on your side.
All right, well, this morning our storm alert coverage continues. We are watching these strong storms continue to push off towards the east. I want to show you our Doppler radar because this tells a story on days like today, and what you'll see is the leading edge of these storms moving away from St. Louis, but that 57 corridor just west of Flora now into Salem, Illinois, down towards Mount Vernon and Carbondale. We still have a tornado watch until 8 o'clock, but we have no active tornado warnings, and we have no other warnings in our area right now. Not to say that we won't, because again, between now and 8, conditions are favorable, and it's really right along this leading edge. But this is our last few counties here. You go out of Effingham, out of Flora, and that's out of our viewing area. But Salem, Illinois, Mount Vernon down towards DuQuoin and Carbondale, you certainly do have some strong storms. Again, no warnings, just heavy rain and plenty of lightning and thunder. St. Louis Metro, we've actually dried out here, back towards St. Charles, Chesterfield, down towards Franklin and Jefferson County alike. And again, you look at the big picture, most of the Missouri side is in the clear and dry, the exception down in Perryville, where you do have a few lingering showers and that tornado watch until 8, but I think even there, the risk is low this morning. We go through the next few days with temperatures that will be warm again tomorrow. Storms pop up, and then eventually we cool back down for Thursday and Friday, but it's a level 3 tomorrow, and that is pretty high, higher than we actually had today. So strong storms are possible tomorrow afternoon, large hail, tornadoes, and the main risk again will be for the large hail and tornadoes. That's something we didn't have when it comes to the large hail today, but that risk goes higher tomorrow, the afternoon hours, and then the storms clear away by 11 o'clock in the evening tomorrow. We've got the Futurecast ready to go, and we'll show you the 10-day in just a few minutes. For now, let's go over to Paul Cook and get an update on our roadways. Paul, you've had debris, you've had crashes. What's the very latest?
And now we have a closure, Anthony. Yes, 70 going eastbound towards downtown is now closed. That just happened here. Only eastbound traffic, 70 eastbound, Jennings Station Road, overturned vehicle. You still see it red on our map. They're moving just a little bit, but it is closed. And you can also see there on the camera, those cars are not moving. This will impact your commute. If you're heading into downtown like thousands of St. Louisans are, don't take it. Go ahead and go with Natural Bridge or any other alternate route you can. We still have other accidents now, 270 at 55. You can see that one in Melville, and then still dealing with this accident at Cave Springs. But the big delay, 70 at Jennings Station Road, will affect you as you're coming on into downtown. The thing is, I'm worried this is going to affect even later in the commute. We are going to keep a close eye on it, and I'll let you know every step of the way, guys.
All right, thanks so much, Paul. We also want to remind everyone that you can stay on top of our Weather First forecast anytime by downloading the 5 on Your Side app. It is critical if you lose power or if you just want it when you are on the road. It is free on your phone's app store. Just search KSDK.
I want to take another live look outside right now. This is in Belleville, where you can see the rain is still coming down throughout our area, but much calmer than what it was not all that long ago. And Michelle, you just got word from Sullivan that school will be in session today.
School will be in session, but school officials are saying please take caution because there might be debris on the road and also a lot of traffic this morning.
So stay with us here on Today in St. Louis. We'll bring you all the latest updates on the traffic, on the weather, and the power outages. We'll be right back.
searching but not finding understanding anywhere. We're lost in a masquerade. Too far away from being close together from the start. We tried to talk it over, but the words got in the way. We're lost inside this lonely game we play. Hearts are weeping, disappear every time.
We'll get back to weather coverage in just a moment, but this morning, the St. Louis Public School District wants to hear from parents to talk about their goals for the school. The district is hosting the final Listen and Learn Forum tonight.
A lot of parents looking forward to this. Parent feedback from the forum will help the district build its next strategic plan. And during that session, you'll have the chance to talk directly to the superintendent and other district leaders about what you want to see improved. The district's communications director says these meetings keep them up to date on the challenges that families are facing.
The parents are the ones who have made the decision to entrust us with their children. And we need to know from them where they think the challenges are, where they think the goals need to be, so we can be informed in moving the process forward.
The forum will be at Clyde C. Miller High School from 6 to 7:30 tonight. If you do plan on going, you can RSVP on the website on your screen now, slps.org/voice RSVP.
All right, well, it's that time of day when you send the kids off to the bus stop, and of course you need the umbrellas if you're on the Illinois side of the river. But our storm threat here in St. Louis has diminished greatly, and we are now drying out on the Missouri side. So again, it's really dependent on where you're watching from. All of us expecting a warmer finish to the day. Today we will climb into the 80s, but you look at the storm reports, tornadoes over the last 24 hours, there were 17 of them reported across the plains, and that one that we reported just around near Sullivan, about 2 miles east officially on 185. But you can see all the rest of the storm reports. It was another day of active weather across the plains. There were reports of wind and hail damage all across the high plains, even the Ohio and Tennessee River Valley. So now these storms are moving away from us. You can see the leading edge is where you have the worst of the weather from Mount Vernon up that 57 corridor into Effingham. But that's it. Once you get past the leading edge down into Carbondale as well, it's just plain old rain behind that. So Metro East, you're even starting to dry out as we speak. But it's St. Louis Metro back towards the west where we have dry weather now. And then again, as mentioned, the Metro East, places like Belleville, Edwardsville, Troy, you are starting to dry out, even Sauget, Cahokia Heights as well. So the severe weather risk, it is going away from us. The tornado watch that's in place until 8 will most likely expire. Our attention now turns towards tomorrow. We have another risk of strong storms. In fact, we have a higher risk tomorrow of stronger storms compared to what we had today. And here's the futurecast for tomorrow's storms. In fact, we wake up with dry weather. Lunchtime, that's when storms get going in St. Louis and the Metro East. Those will continue through the afternoon and evening, perhaps as late as 7 or 8 o'clock, and then pushing southward by about 9, 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow. So that's our next storm alert day. And of course, we will talk about the 10-day forecast that's coming up in about 5 minutes. Let's get an update on our roadways. Talk to Paul. You said 70 eastbound closed?
That is exactly right. We have 70 eastbound Big traffic, huge delay, and as you said, there we are closed due to 2 cars meeting there and then hitting the median. It's all about lane changes. That's where our accidents are happening. I think folks thinking there's maybe not as much volume out there today. There is. Make sure you're careful on your lane change if you don't want to get in an accident. If you don't want to be in a delay, don't go 70 approaching downtown. Try Natural Bridge or another route if you can. So far, well, I should say it's evolving into a better commute. We were really problematic earlier. We do have a few accidents though, 270 at 55. Obviously, we want to just keep on moving by. Awareness is key, and we'll talk travel times here in just a bit, guys.
All right, thanks so much. Of course, we are taking a live look at Sullivan this morning. This is at the old Hilltop Bar, and you can see lots of damage, lots of insulation, lumber, just collapsed buildings there. And of course, a lot of people coming out to look at the damage as we head into 646 this morning. We also have new video into our newsroom that we want to show you. This is actually from CR Sky Drones, and you can see how close the high school is to that bar. I mean, it is really just you could walk to it, really.
Across the road.
Yes, and that was what Mercedes was saying. She was saying it is very close. So we're looking at some of the damage at the high school, though it is less significant than what we saw at Hilltop. Use caution, of course, when coming to school this morning. School is still in session according to Sullivan Schools, but they say be especially careful on 185 because there's extra traffic and damage from this morning's storms. We did talk to city officials, though, and they said so far no reports of any injuries related to the storm. Yes,
that's truly
absolutely.
amazing. You know what's incredible about this is you look at how that's damaged at the bar, and then there's nothing. It's just the bar that was hit. It's amazing to see. We'll be right back with more of our storm coverage this morning. We've got our eyes on the roads as well as the skies for you.
After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, we're gonna chill and shine. We're gonna cause talk and suspicion, give an exhibition, find out what it is all about. After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, gonna shake your tambourine. After midnight, it's gonna be peaches and cream. We're gonna cause talk and suspicion, give an exhibition, find out what it is all about. After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out. We're gonna cause talk and suspicion, give an exhibition, find out what it is all laid back. After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out. After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out.
We continue this morning in the storm coverage, although most of the storm has moved off to our east at this time. And right now in the daylight, we're starting to see the extent of the storm damage in Sullivan.
Yeah, Mercedes McKay is joining us live there with another look at a bar that has been hit hard in that town, Mercedes.
Good morning, Rennie and Michelle. We've been here for about 2 hours now in Sullivan, Missouri to give you kind of a location of where we are. We're right off Highway 185. I'm going to step aside so you can see where we've been all morning long and how severe this damage is. This is Hilltop Bar and Lounge. That's what it's been known as for years here in Sullivan. It's now known as One More Pub and Grub. You can just see that this storm completely destroyed this bar. You can see the insulation, the lumber. The craziest thing, though, is those liquor bottles are still sitting up, something we see a lot of times in storms like this. We spoke with the bar owner this morning just about 30 minutes ago. She is obviously devastated, but she is so glad that there was no one inside and that everyone is okay. Now, this is the most severe damage we have here in Sullivan, Missouri. About an hour ago, we spoke with the city administrator who said luckily there were no injuries here in Sullivan. This is the most damage in this area. We have heard of some damage over at the high school. It's just about an awning over at the high school. School will still be happening, and that's about feet away from us. Where I'm standing right now, you guys, I can actually see the high school from this vantage point. So if you are heading and getting your kid to school, make sure that you are being safe and that you are taking it slow, but school is still in session. Again, no damages, no injuries here in Sullivan. I'll rather say no injuries in Sullivan, but this damage here, this bar is completely destroyed. One thing I will mention, though, we see it every time storms like this happen. This community is rallying around this place. This is a place I've heard that's an institution here. So I know that there will be probably GoFundMes, and this community continues to rebuild here in Sullivan. But I want to remind everyone that school is still happening at Sullivan High School. But again, this bar is completely destroyed. For now, live in Sullivan, Mercedes McKay, 5 on your side.
All right, thanks for that update, Mercedes. Let's talk about our weather forecast because this is a precursor of what's to come. We have another round of strong storms on the way for tomorrow afternoon. So hopefully this got you prepared for what we're watching for tomorrow. You can see how the storms rolled through on the Missouri side, now off towards the Illinois side. And when they did roll through Sullivan, there was quite a bit of bowing here on the radar, which denotes those strong winds. And of course, as mentioned, the suspected tornado that did hit. In fact, for a while, the Doppler radar had confirmed the tornado as it moved over Sullivan because we could see the debris that it was picking up, and there it was, the debris from that bar. So that's moved on. Now you're watching the storms out towards Effingham and Flora, Mount Vernon, Salem, Illinois. There are no warnings right now, but you certainly could have some heavy rain from Mount Vernon down towards Carbondale here in the next 30 minutes. And then after that, these storms will be pushing out of our viewing area. There is still a tornado watch on the Illinois side until 8 o'clock this morning, but I don't think anything's going to come of that. Perhaps that will be allowed to expire early. So now our attention turns to tomorrow. We actually have a higher risk of severe weather tomorrow compared to what we had today. Today, we only had a marginal and a slight risk. That's low. Tomorrow, we have an enhanced risk. That's level 3, a step higher than what we had today. So the thinking tomorrow is there could be large hail. That's the main risk tomorrow, is the hail and tornado threat. And of course, the wind damage was always an issue as well. So here's the future cast starting with tomorrow morning, okay? We're dry, area wide. We'll have sunshine too when you wake up. And then quickly, those storms move in around lunchtime, perhaps as soon as 11, 12 o'clock, and then quickly race off towards the metro east. Once they get going tomorrow, more will continue to pop up with the unstable atmosphere. And you can see how by 5, 6, 7 o'clock, storms still firing up until about bedtime in St. Louis. And then they push farther south around 9, 10, 11. And then after about 11 o'clock, the storm threat goes away tomorrow evening. So we are waking up with those storm clouds again pushing off towards the metro east. You see them in downtown, 66, and in fact Lambert is reporting some sunshine now. So we'll probably see our sun sooner than lunchtime as we go through the day. So numbers are warm to start, near 70. We'll be near 80 by lunchtime and 84 this afternoon. A windy day, winds could top 30 miles per hour as this round of storms move away from us. Our 10-day forecast shows another round of stormy weather for tomorrow, another storm alert for tomorrow afternoon and evening. That's the time frame. And then on Thursday, we dry out. Temperatures will actually be quite refreshing here as we go towards Thursday and Friday. Back into the 70s. Same deal for the weekend. There is a slim chance of showers on Saturday and Sunday for Mother's Day, but all in all, it's not a complete washout. The big story here on our 10-day forecast is the storm threat that exists the next 24 to 48 hours, especially tomorrow evening. So make sure you have a way to get those weather warnings. I think today was a good practice round. All right, let's get over to Paul Cook. You've been talking closures, crashes. It's a busy day in traffic this morning.
Yes, and with all that wind earlier, lots and lots of debris, Anthony. And we've been working to get more and more information here on a crash on 70 approaching downtown. Let me show you here. This is very important. The travel time in the middle, right there. You can see it's 70 from 270, the inner belt, very, very slow on 70, and that's not even where our major accident is. But if you use it like thousands of St. Louisans do, you're going to be delayed. That's a very slow travel time. The other one's on 270, important as well, moving. So like Anthony said, kind of a dress rehearsal. We've been moving much better, but there's going to be some debris out there. Be careful. We'll be right back, and I'll show you some maps, and we've got more stories for you coming up on Today in St. Louis.
All right, welcome back on this Tuesday morning. We do have our storm alert coverage continuing here with a live look at Sullivan, where you can actually see the bar that we've been showing you all morning damaged here. The Hilltop bar that it's been known for many years did undergo a name change, but that's what folks still remember it as. Sullivan, Missouri, right off of 185, damage from a suspected tornado that happened overnight around 3:45 in the morning. So that's the worst of the weather in our area. We do have dry weather now on the Missouri side, so a chance for the folks there to clean up. And that was the one and only location that we did have a confirmed tornado, and that was actually reported by the Doppler radar. And Paul, I mean, you know, we talk about rain and, you know, issues on roadways, but this morning we've had so many issues. Even 70, is it still shut down?
Yeah, we still are dealing with a huge delay there, but tragic there near 44 in Sullivan. Yeah. You're moving finally, so that's good.
That is good. Yeah, let's go to our Doppler radar, and you can see the showers. They're moving away from St. Louis, so here we are starting to dry out now. We will have a warm day today. Numbers will climb into the 80s, and in fact, the tornado watch that was in place on the Illinois side looks like it was just allowed to expire. So our 10-day forecast gets us to another storm alert for tomorrow afternoon and evening. We, of course, will keep you posted on any changes and updates through the morning on air and online. Paul.
All right, Anthony, yeah, you mentioned it here, 70 going eastbound, approaching downtown. So we're inside the city limits here. You do not want to take it. We're still trying to effort Natural Bridge as a solution, or just any other highway. That's two vehicles that kind of turned into each other in the median. It's on the right side there, but it's not your only incident here. Another one now, 270 at the ramps to 170, another new accident.
And as we, leave you today, just also want to remind people that there are still thousands of people without power this morning as well. At least a couple thousand.
Yeah. As we say goodbye, another live look at Sullivan, Missouri, where there is heavy damage there. Remember, when we're not on air, you can always follow us on the 5+ app and KSDK.com.